Hello everyone, my name is GirafaStev. That is Zachary right next to me. I am the president of the Longboy Club. I'm the very long and large enjoyer of gaming, wrestling, motherfucking demons in the moon, and my stinky cat. And chat, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the roses, Zach. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, chat. Zach, this is Zach's stream tonight.
This is I like the huge boulder on my back.
You're holding a huge boulder on my back, and you can thank Analog Horror Rabbit Holes for fucking giving it to you. Because last night, chat, I went on a big fucking like Analog Horror deep dive, specifically into like a local 58 at Gemini Home Entertainment, and well, my overactive imagination made it so that I couldn't sleep.
Mario.
You deserve all the praise, talking giraffe. Oh, thank you. Well, you know, can you give me enough praise so I can stretch far enough and fucking take on the moon and its demon? Because I would like that.
You're just gonna.
Stev and Zach on the attack back-to-back, hanging them fools on the rack.
That's bars. What now, Zach? I'll like swing my giant fucking neck and like hit the moon so hard that the demon comes out.
Yeah.
I will restore the moon to its former glory. I've seen it. I saw it, Zach. The moon is rotting. at least that's what Local 58 told me.
You're gonna look at the moon tonight and be like, man, there's a demon up there.
Man, there are motherfucking demons from the moon up there. They're like the motherfucking demons from the planet Jupiter. I need to call on Dill Clinton. Well, actually, no. I'm a Dill Clinton was the Mecha Doomsday Machine. Master Joe was the hero. You know. Dude, if you're in the Analog Horror rabbit hole, you need to check out Monument Mythos. I'll be honest, Dan, and everyone in chat right now, I don't think I need to be checking out anymore. Because I checked out so many that literally I could not get to sleep last night. I'm running on about 3 hours of sleep right now, and I missed my dentist appointment. And I had to like reschedule it for like later in the day. I did end up going to my dentist appointment, but I literally slept through my alarm because like I fucking was just like, man, like I didn't realize this would really get me that much, but it did. So
I have to ask, what started this rabbit hole to begin with?
I literally saw that I saw someone on Blue Sky be like, dude, you know that AI is universally hated when Local 58 comes?
Father, I'm enjoying my vacation in Las Vegas, playing poker and going into debt. By the way, we may need to sell the Longboy Club for $10,000.
What is this Local 58?
I mean, like, I already knew what it was, but I completely memory hold it, and then I watched the newest one, and then I was just like, okay, well, I need to see all of this, huh? And I did.
I know I'm doing for the next few hours.
And I did. And, I regret it. So, yeah, Zach is gonna do a legendary carry job, everyone. Please praise him.
but also, Logan, I see a certain homunculus child is missing.
Yeah, he's over on vacation, or in the Cheeto mines, in order to make his pound of cheddar, as one would call it.
Yeah.
So he won't be back for a little bit in Vegas. He's in Vegas. Father, I'm enjoying my vacation in Las Vegas, playing poker and going into debt. By the way, we may need to sell the Longboy Club for $10,000. Brother, can you show me how to fucking buy stocks? Because I think I'm gonna need to I feel like I'm gonna need to, you know, do a bit of day trading to pay off all of your recklessness.
What will stocks be up?
I don't know, Zach. I don't know if they could be up long enough to save the Longboy Club, but they're gonna have to be. At least check it out for October. See what I've learned is that I guess, like, I enjoy the tropes of horror, but I need to be in the right frame of mind for it to, like, not be too much for me, you know? I need to be rested. I need to, like, be there watching it with someone else, right?
I swear, if I wasn't already in internet jail, I would stick that wood-crafted stick and yarn-stitched spherical orb right down Pablo's Cheetos hole.
Okay, well, listen, listen, Pablo fucking delivered last time. So yeah.
You're on your way to Winnie Hut Jr.
I am on my way to Weenie Hut Jr. Absolutely. You know what? I'll fucking take that. I'll take that, and I'll get the triple gooberberry sunrise with it, too. Here's your goober meal, sir.
Goober meal, sir.
Dude.
I was supposed to get a toy with this.
Thanks. Dude, I'll slam like 5 of those down, okay? I will fucking accept my label. I'll accept my goddamn lot in life. Alright, let's go.
Well, that's fine, as long as you don't go into Super Weenie Hut Jr.
It's a Super Weenie Hut Jr. Alright, let's go ahead. And before we get into tonight's baseball, let's run ads.
Father needs to go to Weenie Hut General and have his balls stitched back on him. It's break time. Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
The moon demon scared the fucking balls off of me, dude.
Never have time to repair. Wait, before you throw it away, let Mighty Mend It save
even
the day.
Zubooks might scare you.
Billy Mays here for Mighty Mend It.
Listen, if I see a giraffe, all of my ailments will be cured.
Saving you money. Mighty Mend It is not a glue, but a flexible bonding agent.
Anyways, enjoy Mighty Mend It, everybody.
And interlocks the fibers of virtually any fabric for a permanent repair. Sewing takes forever, but with Mighty Mend It, just apply, gently
I don't really think sewing takes that long.
It has the strength to withstand storms.
Have you tried sewing before?
I have, yes.
Easily mend the hem of your desk to look your best. Even if you sit and split.
Like, listen, I've watched hundreds of infomercials at this point. Billy Mays can fucking go anywhere in these infomercials. He can go in his car, he can go into a wind tunnel, he can go into the fucking sky. Like, there are levels to this.
The bond still stays strong. Whether it's denim, leather, or lace.
Anyway.
You can use Mighty Mend It anytime, any place.
Like, it can... Like, normally it'll start... Sorry, normally it'll start on a set. But then he can end up in a fucking plane! Dude, there are levels to this!
So wait, how does this happen?
It's ideal for scrapbooking or craft projects. You'll find hundreds of money-saving uses.
Call or go online to get the complete Mighty Mend It kit that includes 1 large bottle. But for everyone who orders
I get to
today,
sit through the same old commercial for the overpriced wrestling simulator.
Saving idea guide, absolutely free. But we're not done. We'll also include a bottle
you gotta
of
fucking subscribe, brother.
To just about anything.
Yeah.
Free.
Subscribe.
You get it all at incredible value for just $29.99.
Subscribe so you can listen to Billy Mays talk about Mighty Mend It.
516-2354. That's 1-800-516-2354.
Why did they take out Billy Mays at the end here? They removed him from existence.
I don't know. Very good question.
It's a very odd choice. Anyways. Well, but no, you know what? I'll admit it. I do need to go to Weenie Hut General to get my ball stitched back onto me. The motherfucking demons from the moon spooked them right off of me.
It's like, oh god. You're gonna look at the moon tonight and just instantly jump back. It's like,
oh. I'll just be like, And you know, listen, man, the moon is, you know, space when you think about it is cool, but it's also scary because it's unknown. So.
Nom nom. Yeah. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Welcome back to Raw, everybody. Let's fucking do this shit. It is. What's that?
I was like, we should try to go like Pluto instead.
That's really far, Zach. That's incredibly
I know,
far.
but it's as far away from the demon as possible.
It is. It is, in fact, as far away from the moon demons as possible. Anyways, let's fucking do this, chat. We are... Can you believe it? We're at the end, everyone. We're at the fucking end. And what better way to end it than with the World Series? It is the Backyard World Series. We are taking on the Detroit Tigers as the Humongous Hornets. This 10-stream streak is brought to you by 7up10.
Oh, Lord.
10.
10.
Thank you very much for the watch. Thank you very much for the 10-stream streak, Infinite. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Hell yeah, thanks a lot.
We're currently 1-up against the Tigers. But with how this game likes to rubber band, they might just end up taking this. I'm not gonna lie. Either that or they'll give us a run for our money. But we'll see where it takes us. Either way, we're here until the end of this tonight. So
yeah, last game you won comfortably.
I mean, kind of. I mean, the last... I mean, like, yeah, it was 9-3, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. Because, like, they started out strong, I feel like, and then they kind of fell apart towards the end. So... yeah. Because I feel like winning... Because that's not winning comfortably, right? You want to see winning comfortably?
No.
Well, I would. I would show you it, but the game... But the game doesn't want me to show it. Either way, you just need to look at the Mets and our 51 fucking runs in a single game. You know? I
would show it if I had it.
If I had one.
It's almost time for a 3-minute brownie break, my dudes.
Dude, fucking hey, brownies. Let's go. Listen, I'll take the entire team out for friggin' brownies if we win the World Series. Okay, cool. So let's see if anyone's having a cold day. Whoa! Holy shit! Look at Keisha. Zach.
Wait,
look at this. You see this?
Yikes, that batting has gone way down.
Dude, this isn't a cold day. It's like the fucking frozen tundra's cold. What is this?
Keisha might actually have a cold or something.
Meanwhile, Pete's on fire today. Like his his batting is incredible. His fielding is pretty good. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put Keisha up here at first plate because I feel like that's probably the best place for her at this point in time.
Pete might be hitting a bunch of home runs tonight with that batting power.
Dude, if he starts with a home run, I will lose my mind. But no, chat. How are we all doing tonight? How has your week been? Like I said, I'm very tired, but I'm here to fucking play some baseball. Have you seen the trailer for Coyote versus Acme? I did. It looks fun. I gotta try my best to see it, but I'm not always really, good about seeing movies when they're at theaters. I think last time I was at the theater was for Mario Galaxy, and before that, it was for... I can't even remember.
Was it for Sonic 3?
Probably. Probably yes.
Hello, Mario.
I missed work today because the garlic in my pizza last night knocked me the fuck out. You missed work?
Oh.
Like, did you call in, or did you just, like, straight up not show up? I'm gonna get tickets ASAP. I mean, I'm sure in my area it's gonna be perfectly manageable to get in even on, like, opening night if I want to do that. But, like, I mean, the only two instances where, like, I got kind of burned for not getting tickets, you know, prior to the showing were, I think, Avengers Endgame and Super Mario Galaxy. And the theater that I go to is a Regal theater, which has, like, recliners. And they're very, very nice. Even if you have seats that are really close to the screen, the recliners make it really not that much of an issue.
Okay, let's play ball.
Would you go to the movies more if they were selling giraffe popcorn buckets? Brother, absolutely.
Ready to
Oh, yeah.
all of them right back to the
Everything and everywhere could use more ungulate representation.
So look, I haven't had a chance to bring this up like during the streams because I keep forgetting. But I'm not gonna forget this time.
Okay.
It's about good old Vinny the Gooch, and some trivia. So look, you know how in each of these backyard games, the color commentators like always different. Like in basketball, it's someone else. In hockey, it's someone else, and what have you.
Yes.
From the wind
So, so there's this character in backyard hockey. His first name is Buddy. Yeah, is Buddy.
What about him?
And
I said, what about him?
well, he has 6 sisters.
Six sisters? Dude, that's more sisters than Bobby Lashley. That's crazy.
The reason I'm bringing it up is because according to lore, Vinny the Gooch has a crush on one of his sisters, and during one of the backyard hockey games, if you slap a puck like really hard, Buddy will sometimes say, "I haven't seen a slap that hard since Vinny the Gooch hit on my sister."
Aw. Ah, Vinny! Oh, no. I don't know why I called him Vinny. That's Pete. That's That's fucking Pete Wheeler over there. Bro, why you gotta remind me of that horrible storyline? Dude, because it's funny. And also Max Caster is one of the sisters. So.
He sure is. And you can kind of tell if you look at the footage.
No, you can, because the sister that Max plays is very, very, it's very obviously Max.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Also, look, here's a fun fact about Buddy that I didn't know about. So backyard hockey also has a create character thing. And if you type in the name like Buddy,
sure,
you'll unlock him as a character. I was like, oh shit!
You'll unlock the commentator as a character?
Yeah.
Dude, that's like unlocking Jim Ross in fucking SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. I love that. Actually, no, I don't think you could unlock him. I think he was only available to play as in the Texas Hold'em minigame, which was only available on the PSP version.
Oh yeah, and people modded it so you could play as them in the ring.
No, I know, dude. My favorite part about the PSP Texas Hold'em game is that no one plays in their street clothes if they're a wrestler. Everyone just shows up in full gear to play Texas Hold'em, and meanwhile, fucking J.R. Jim Ross is there just like, oh my god, I got 15 down. What do you got, Triple H? I'm the game.
Triple H says that he's just in his wrestling gear, nothing but his tights on.
No, it's so fucking funny. It's a funny sight. One of my favorite sights for that is when you pick the Hurricane as one of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Because literally, he's in his tights. It's like tank topless Hurricane. Which is a very uncanny Hurricane, by the way. Oh.
Jacinda.
Nice. Bases loaded, brother.
She's gonna make it anyways.
Let's see that play again.
Who is going to send them all home?
Lucky steps in.
No!
No, they're not going home, brother.
I really was Chava.
Oh, fuck, dude. Fuck me.
Might as well just end the inning already.
It's over, dude. We're so cool. Yeah.
Oh,
Pete! Dude, what the fuck? Did you see Pete there?
What do you do?
That dude, that swing was so horrendous that he was about to multiply.
Oh.
He was like going through like mitosis or some shit.
Jeez.
Pete was all like, no, Java Crypt is too shitty. I'm gonna just duplicate myself, and I will be the 9th player and the 1st player. Tua, Dad. Dude.
Catch
Ahmed.
Ahmed.
No,
Ahmed.
Ahmed.
Oh.
Oh boy, dude, we're in for a rough game.
No. Oh wait, you stupid.
Whoa.
Stupid though.
Shoot, dude, what a save. Wow.
Woo. Oh, now Vicky's on a good day. She's on a
Just
hot day.
one. All right, cool. They're making good contact today, I'll say that.
Brother throwing out the sister.
That's what it's always meant to be. Yeah, that was a super clutch fucking run. That first one. I really thought that we were just about to blow a run on the very first hit of this team.
Dude, what a cannon of an arm.
I know, right? Jeez! Whoa, Amir Khan!
Woo!
He scooped that shit up before it hit the ground.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of baseball chat,
okay.
I watched a video a few days ago for the first time because I was curious. It was a 1-hour video. You know, like I watched every baseball movie and ranked them by how well the actors play baseball or something like that.
Yeah, you sent me that video a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to watch it, by the way. Maybe I should. That will cleanse my mind of Local 58.
This will cleanse my mind. Baseball.
Is Zach excited about the NFL? What the fuck? Did you see the ball right there?
Yeah, I just got.
Dude, that thing like glitched into the score screen. What?
Foul.
I'm sorry. Foul. That was outside the zone.
From the windup, 1-2 pitch. And that's
okay.
Oh, come on. Oh, okay, that was barely in the zone, but still.
You did kind of blow it, Ahmed. Go sit down.
Is Zach excited for the NFL draft? Not particularly. I didn't even know it was happening.
Alright, was there anyone that you want on the Lions, Zach, or not particularly?
Here's the thing, I don't know of anyone who's eligible, so...
Oh, so not really.
Yeah. I'm just like, I hope they just draft someone good.
You know, I feel like that's what anyone hopes for in any instance.
Mm-hmm. The thing that's, like, very different about, like, your, the thing that's, like, different about, your NFL and your NBA drafts compared to like your MLB drafts is that you know, NFL and NBA they like play like immediately once the season starts. Meanwhile, the MLB draft it takes a few years. Well, I saw that. MLB draft it takes a few years because they go through the minor league system, so to speak, to develop and shit like that.
Sure.
They're used to play at like the high school and college level, so to speak.
And so they need to like kind of, develop down in the A's. Dude, 3 up, 3 down.
Damn, that was a rough outing.
This is a very defensive game. Also have a good night, Waffle.
Have a good night. Have a good night, Waffle.
Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee recently came out saying that they didn't belong in this year's WrestleMania. I mean, you know what, brother? At least that's one thing we can agree on.
Yeah. Oh, what was the exact quote? Because I remember I saw it earlier. I was like, ow.
But Roman and Punk was good, at least. So.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I actually really liked that one. That was, like, the only match from, you know, both nights that I came out of, and I was like, that felt like a WrestleMania match, and not just a TV match by, you know, WWE standards. So. Because, like, everything else just felt like a TV match. Oh, dude. Dude, that manual wheelchair is really paying off for Kenny.
Spare serotonin, please.
Yeah. Basically, the short version, is by the Wrestling Observer Radio. The Pat McAfee thing. It was he opted out. That's what actually lets everything changing. Is like to opt out, so to speak.
Dude,
like,
that's
bro.
insane to me. Because, like, the whole reason that he was getting just, like, shoved into that storyline was to set up future, like, outside deals. And then Pat was like, you know what? No. I have a little bit more dignity than that. So, which, you know, I guess respect a little bit, but also, you know, Night One fucking blew chunks, brother. That was genuinely bad wrestling TV, right there. Was Night One of Mania?
Yeah, I heard. I heard Night 2 is better, but yeah.
Just kept getting. Yeah, Night 2 just kept getting better as it went on. I feel like because like it didn't start all that great, but by the end I was locked in. Because like genuinely like the Roman and Punk match kind of captivated me. Yeah, I said before and I'll say it again, I'm kind of at a point now where it's hard for me to earnestly engage with anything WWE does. Just, you know, on the just on the basis of, well, they're TKO WWE and they're doing the things they're doing. But you know, I could concede. Punk and Roman got me. So
yeah, fuck, they got me. Hey, what can I say? They're both really good in-ring storytellers.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're both really good at what they do, so. And when you just allow those... and when you just allow two guys like that to work with nothing else getting in the way, surprise, surprise, you get something that's worth a damn. What?!
Oh.
Hello, Mario.
Bro.
Yes, but the Immortal Clusterfuck also happened. The Immortal Clusterfuck did also happen. Ah, Pete! With the first big hit, and of course he's out.
No, he caught it. Oh, I caught your shot too early on that.
We are deadlocked here in this game, dude.
Yep.
This is just like a defensive battle that we're in right now.
The Tigers are now locked in.
The Tigers are on the prowl, Zach.
They're stalking their
waiting
prey.
to bare their fangs at the first big mistake. So.
From the lineup and the offering.
The Infinite Clusterfuck is when they have 88 participants. I'm somehow one of them.
The Infinite Clusterfuck is when they have 88 participants and I'm somehow one of them. Dude, if you and I are in the same Clusterfuck match, we need to, like, do a fucking Rock and Steve Austin, like, stare down. Because, like, listen, the Immortal Clusterfuck is the most unserious match of all time, but it's also one of the most fun matches of all time. It is my new favorite match. It literally beats everything that I've ever seen. Even though it's not, like, the best in-ring thing of all time, it is the most fun I've ever had watching wrestling. Also, Kite! Sorry,
hi, Kite.
I did not say hi to you yet. How are you doing?
To answer your question, Bree, obviously, no, I have not watched it, and I heard it was kind of bad.
No,
surprise,
and I will
surprise.
not watch it because, well, for one thing, it's Hulk Hogan, and two, it's a WWE documentary. So, like, that's like an unholy union of just not truth-telling, you know?
So on Blue Sky described the documentary perfectly. So yeah, I should have expected less. The Netflix Hulk Hogan documentary is the soft fluff piece you expect it to be. A passing mention of his politicking, glossing over the racism real quick without actually showing what he said. Modern day Trump is one of the people interviewed. So many cracks in the armor painted as
I'm
no
sorry.
big deal.
They interviewed Trump for this?
Yeah.
Get in the fucking trash bin, brother.
Yeah, so many cracks in the armor painted as no big deal. Lord. It's like, yeah, that's what I expected from a Hulk Hogan WWE documentary.
God damn it, dude. Okay, we are in danger now.
Oh, got someone on third. I look away for a minute, and there's someone on third.
Dan, I'm gonna stop you right there. The current stuff that we're in is, booking-wise, better than Vince. I feel like that, at least in the case of this, it's not just like a continuous humiliation ritual for like everyone up to and including main eventers.
Oh, that's a
like,
run.
Dude, that's rough as shit. About using Fent also the random lying about using drugs in TNA when Fent was not broadly available outside of terminal cancer patients until several years after his TNA run. I mean, dude, that right there is like him saying that he was gonna be like John Cena's last opponent or something. Or that he was gonna face Cena like at Mania 34, I think is what he said.
Bro, how can my dude still be lying after he's already dead?
Dude, even in death, the dude can't stop lying. What is this? This is a comical what? Dude, that flew right over him!
Way over his head. Thanks for that lesson in gravity. Goes it to second, stops it over first.
That was incredible. That faced right through him. Did you see that?
Yeah. It went over Apollo's head.
They could give me and my family front row tickets to every WrestleMania and SummerSlam for life to watch it for 2 seconds, and I'd refuse. I would also refuse, dude. It really is just such a weird thing to lie about. I mean, that's just really the story of Hulk Hogan's, like, post-fame afterlife. Just stuff like, well, that was weird to lie about. You know?
Yeah. As I said, like, bro, even at death,
like, it
can't stop
even
lying.
like, it isn't even just that he can't stop lying. It's that the lies get, like, more and more absurd as time went on. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
like, it would be one thing if he just couldn't stop lying. But on top of that, the lies just got more and more ridiculous as the years went on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they did. What are you talking about? Well, it's like, what do you mean Andre the Giant died shortly after WrestleMania 3?
But I do kind of want to see more Extreme Rules matches. I would like to see some unsanctioned matches where the guys actually bleed, because there was no blood in the Drew and Jacob Fatu match, and I'm sorry, man. I have seen Hangman and Swerve many times over at this point. I've seen like multiple Hangman Texas Death matches. I watched Matt Tremont absolutely gush Otis Kogar with a bundle of light tubes at the at the Immortal Clusterfuck. Like, you gotta show a little bit of color, otherwise I'm not impressed. So like, you're gonna say, dude, you're gonna be like, you know, the following match WWE is not held responsible for, and they may as well be tickling each other based on what I've seen up until this point. Like, I hate to be a snob, but dude, your main competitor does the same type of match, and they will go to infinite degrees further than you. And I'm not expecting you to get to that degree, but like, you gotta show at least a little bit of fucking gore, you know?
Bro, look, I still remember back in the early 2010s whenever a wrestler accidentally blade, they would actually stop the match so they could wipe the blood off the wrestler's head and resume the match. It's that kind of PG. I was like, Jesus.
And like, it's the same kind of thing with, like, I mean, honestly, in theory, it kind of reminds me of, like, Moxley versus Lesnar at Mania 32. Although it's not that bad. But, like, because that match was, like, genuinely just abysmal. But, you know, if you're gonna advertise a match as being, like, a big violent spectacle, you gotta deliver a big violent spectacle, even if it's not, like, super fucking, like, I'm not expecting Drew to fucking inject Jacob Fatu with syringes, right?
God, no, I would never expect that.
Not out of WWE. But I at least expect a little something, you know? A little something to chew on. Dude, we are just getting absolutely shut down in this game.
Java might as well be on knockout.
Java. Whoa, hold on.
Oh, wait.
Hold on. We spoke too soon. Dude, she gets on base. Holy shit.
Alright, the jinx.
Holy shit, she got on base. Okay, Ahmed, you have a chance to tie this, brother.
Look, and who knew she would break your cold streak of batters?
I know, right? Finally, she fucking breaks the cold streak. It took forever, but she did it. No, I'm not gonna have her steal. That is asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Swung early, and the count is 0-1.
Heck, they showed blood on Monday Night Raw. Well, why didn't they show it in the match that could actually use it? Why didn't they show it in the unsanctioned lights out hardcore match or whatever it was called? You know?
Look, there is one thing from
whoa!
Wait.
Hold on.
Java, please. Java.
Dude, she made it. She made it to second base. Holy shit. Dude, even though that was an error, she's way too slow to actually capitalize on it.
Yeah. So. I don't know, Keisha's having a bad day.
Low-key having an unsanctioned match at Mania is dumb as a box of rocks. Why do you think it's dumb? I mean, I feel like if you're gonna have a big violent match, that's kind of the place to do it. Well, maybe I'm thinking too much about All In last year, because literally the main event of that match was a big, like, violent spectacle match. So, oh, come on. All right, Kenny.
Where they dim the lights.
Exactly, where they dim the lights only for them to come back on.
The stretch and the delivery. The swing.
Also, don't go on Twitter, people.
That's a slow
You deserve better than that.
You can't win a game if you don't get on base.
I fucking know, Vinny. I'm trying over here, dude.
It's Java's fault, okay?
Because Mania and the whole gimmick is that it's not a real match. It's two guys beating the shit out of each other. And you put that in the middle of your biggest show of the year. I do not know, but Rollins hits Breaker in the back of the head with a chair on Raw. Did he hit him in the back of the head?
Ow.
Because I don't know, that kind of seems like it would go against what WWE typically does, which is no headshots with chairs.
Yeah, this goes to the back as well.
Yeah, usually, usually if it's to the back, it's to the back. Like, the body part, the back.
Yeah, not the head, yeah.
Breaking ball. One out.
It seems like the only Twitter is good for now is miserable bastards making other people feel as miserable as they are. Don't go on Twitter, guys. You deserve better than that.
The delivery. Swinging. Looped up.
You deserve much better than that.
Oh, let's go. I would say to go on Blue Sky, which is better, but God, the people that run aren't doing anyone any favors.
Dude, the people there are so dude, the moderators and the devs there are so fucking funny because they are just constantly stuck in a comedy of errors of their own making.
Remember, Logan, you're blocked by one of them.
Well, I'm not anymore, because like the reason why I was blocked by one of them is because they followed like a block list of like fucking like AI haters. Pete!
That could have been epic.
But it wasn't. But it wasn't. Dude, Pete. You're killing me, man. You're killing me, Pete. I'm not gonna lie to you. You are killing me right now.
Here's the windup, the delivery. That's the ball.
Boy, Logan, what happened?
What happened was that the technical advisor of Blue Sky subbed to a block list that featured over 300,000 people that ever said anything negative about AI, I believe. And
Yep.
Here's the pitch.
And I guess I was on that list. And so when the technical advisor subbed to that list, he ended up blocking every user on that list, including yours truly.
One left on.
Really fun to see.
This is a dark hour for
Some folks I know are exclusive on Twitter, nothing more to do about that. I feel like that there is just a little bit to say about staying on a platform that is owned by someone like Elon Musk.
I'm gonna hit a
touchdown. So
I love how the block list was called
anti-AI. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Plays it up.
Pete!
Runner is safe on third.
Oh,
fuck it, we're going for broke. We're going for broke. There you are! Dude, he ran so fast, he has to go in slow motion now.
Yeah.
Yeah, do not give Elon money.
No.
Lord knows he doesn't need any more.
Takes the stretch, fires. Ball one.
And he's probably gonna bankrupt Twitter.
Blue Sky would be a better place. Vast majority of people I know who are still on Twitter are outside the US where Blue Sky isn't a thing. Ah, okay.
He winds. Here's the pitch.
I mean, that's really a whole it's a whole conversation that honestly I don't want to get into on a stream about a fun children's baseball game.
I'm running on 3 hours of sleep.
When I'm running on 3 hours of sleep. I am not in the frame of mind to fucking, like, debate this with anybody. All I will say is that there are other options out there in where you can, like, interact with others and find your audience and your customers without, you know, actively supporting someone like Elon Musk. How did this topic even happen? I mean, Dan just brought it up just, like, completely just out of left field. So...
Yeah, he never up randomly, yeah.
I don't even know why he brought it up. Why did you bring it up, brother?
Strike out people who...
We're talking about a completely different conversation.
Yeah, like, dude, I was, like, talking about, like, WrestleMania and stuff and how it felt like an episode of Raw. That's why he's the fucking GOAT!
Oh, Pablo!
Holy shit!
And you're in the lead now.
And just like that, the Hornets are up by 1. It has been a nail-biter, honestly, but we are finally at the top. By vast majority, I mean like 5-6, because Twitter was dying before Musk took it over. You are cursed, Mr. Dan. Pablo fucking Sanchez! Thank you very much for the bits, Idea Maker. I appreciate that.
There's one other thing from WrestleMania weekend that I do want to bring up, and I know it made you go, man. And it made me and you go, man. We're never actually gonna escape Vince McMahon by how rancid the Hall of Fame thing was.
They spent like 45 minutes on Stephanie just glazing her. And then the crowd, I don't know if it was piped in or not, but they started chanting, "Thank you, Vince." And very few things get me as annoyed about about wrestling than that. Like, man, we need to move on from this guy and quick.
Please, can we just move on? It seems like you guys don't want to move on.
Oh yeah, I added that redeem.
Oh!
Dude.
It landed!
Oh, and it fucking beamed her, dude. Let's go.
Alright, now we're cooking. Now
we're cooking with gas, dude. At the top of the 5th inning, we're back.
I got a hankering for some baseball stinkers.
We are back. It's the top of the 5th, and we're back.
Better than ever.
We are so back, brother.
That was not pretty. Runner on first, 1 out.
It's not pretty.
From the stretch and delivers.
Logan, since you brought up AW earlier,
yeah.
I watched last night's episode of Dynamite. I'm just like, oh, so this is something I'm gonna do with Darby Allin's title reign. Just world title match every week. It seems like. I
mean, listen, man. I don't expect them to have the belt for like more than a couple months. So like, if this is what they're gonna do, where they're just gonna fill his entire reign, you know, with like banger matches every week, fuck it. That's fucking awesome. You know? Like, that shit is fucking awesome. No way! Java got a base again! Holy shit.
And a crazy thing is, oh shit! At least with the Thomas Ciampa match, I'm just like, oh wait, is this gonna be a thing of Darby Allin's world title matches where it's gonna be kind of like the workhorse like a type match
where he just fucking dies every week?
Yeah. Oh dude, that table bunt, that table spot through like the outside of the ring, that was insane.
Dude, the Irish curse to the outside from like the top rope and just landing on the outside. Holy fucking shit, dude.
It was like picture perfect as well.
Like, I'm very sorry, Tommaso Ciampa, but I fucking underestimated your game.
Yeah. Yeah, where Darby like dies every week, but not in the way we typically see, where he doesn't have like, I should say, it's like the awkward landings, so to speak. Is it? Oh, I like doing early type shit.
Exactly. Again, I would like the Tigers to like come back from this deficit. Give me something to chew on here.
Something to claw on, so to speak.
Coyote vs. Acme's release will mark the arrival of Absolute Peak Cinema.
God, I hope so. Dude, since I was like a little kid, like Coyote and Roadrunner was like my shit when I was a little kid.
I'm very happy for folks that are excited for it. I will probably. Hey, you! What the fuck was that?
Why do people always try to beam the handicapped person?
No, man, they're fucking dicks. I don't know why the homunculus hates Pablo so much. They need to hate everyone that goes after Kenny.
Is that the ghost of the homunculus that's talking to us right now?
No, he has telepathy. He's able to communicate via my brain waves. And communicate ostensibly with the chat as well. He's all-knowing, like the Moon Demon.
Oh no, not the Moon Demon again!
He's all-knowing, just like the Moon Demons.
Logan, I love how MJ was just like, give me back my title, and Darby's just like, No.
No!
He said no! Shout the title. No.
Win a game if you don't get on base.
I don't know why, but I just love that as a retort. Rather than going on a big spiel, it's just no.
I mean, very eloquently put. I love that.
Yeah. That being said, MJF's
Could I have my title back? No. Could I have my title back? No. Could I have my title back? No. Can't you say anything else but no? Try asking again. Could I have my title back? No. Hold on.
And Tommaso Ciampa give me a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah, I know.
Pissed about that.
Dude, Tommaso Ciampa is feeding all of the fucking ship stuff in AEW now. All of the toxic yaoi is becoming, or rather, yeah, it's yaoi, right?
Yeah.
All of the toxic yaoi is becoming real. And all of it involves Tomato Champ.
I will say, MJF is probably gonna get his rematch at Double or Nothing because that's in Queens, New York.
But I feel like that this isn't really meant to be a long title reign. It's meant to be basically their McFoley reign. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A big fucking, like, extreme guy who, like, puts his body on the line for this promotion. Someone who's not a traditional looking main event guy, but someone that the fans absolutely love regardless. And he gets a short run with the belt, you know? So, and I feel that, you know, in AEW fashion, they're not just making it like a one-day thing. They're giving him a few weeks with it, and every week is a title match. So that way they're filling in a lot of stuff in a short amount of time.
I guess my running theory right now is that he'll probably have one successful pay-per-view title defense and then like drop at the next pay-per-view.
Oh no, I think he's dropping it at Double or Nothing.
You think he's dropping back to MJF?
Yeah, I think he's dropping it back to MJF at Double or Nothing.
Mm.
I think Darby's gonna do what Darby does, and he's going to fucking just kill himself over the course of several weeks, to the point where he cannot really match up with MJF by the time of the pay-per-view.
No, interesting about the promo, Darby did say if you want the rematch, you need to offer something else in return. Like,
MJF, I want your soul.
Yeah, your soul.
I want your soul, MJF.
What if the Dynamite Diamond Ring? That's the only thing I can think of.
I mean, to be fair, he did give the Dynamite Diamond Ring to the ref before his title match with Darby. So,
yep.
So maybe the thing is that he needs to be able to beat Darby without it. So,
yeah. Do imagine? Like I just imagine this is gonna be a thing in every one of their matches, where it needs to end one of them doing the headlock takedown.
Yes, dude, that shit would be tough as fuck. But speaking of tough as fuck, again, I need to bring attention to it. Holy fuck, Tommaso Ciampa and Darby Allin.
Yeah.
I am, dude. Dude, those shadows better know Tommaso Ciampa's story, because I sure fucking do after that match.
Mm-hmm.
I sure fucking know it after that match, and it is incredibly crazy.
And now Darby and Brody King are about to have a banger match next week.
Oh, dude, yes, it's gonna be so good.
It's almost time for a 3-minute Cheetos break, my dudes.
Dude, that freaking Brody and Darby match, that might just kill him. All right, go Ace. We're gonna try and hit another home run with fucking Pablo here before commercial break.
Look, it just keeps running your thing of you complain about some things AEW and it's like they heard you or something.
Yeah, I know. Like I complained about Ciampa not being used, you know, that much, and now suddenly he's over here feuding with the world champion contender and the actual world champion. So, like, Damn. I run this fucking game, chat. I run this fucking ship.
Now, I do like that there's something that's like, I feel it's like both a good
you hate to see
and a
it.
bad thing, but, well, actually, I'll bring it up after commercial.
Yeah, bring it up after the ad break. I don't know what happened there, Pablo, but the good thing is we're winning right now. I say that and watch, we're gonna friggin' lose by like 1 run.
Hey, look, it's the 1-year tiger going up against the tiger.
Dude, I love how like our pro guy is just someone we stole from them.
Yeah.
Like I literally thought about that while I was out today, and I was like, man, our pro player is just someone that we took from the opposing team, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, cool. Ad, can you please start? I would like that. Go for a triple. Dude, I tried my best. I don't think that he's going to complete a cycle today. I would like for him to. Ad?
It's break
Thank
time.
you.
There's Ad.
Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
Oh God.
Family Guy theme song is your new ringtone. All you have to do is
Get the Family Guy theme song as your new ringtone, chat. Also, how's my voice sound right now?
Send Peter 2. Text Peter 3 for.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Peter 4 for.
Freaking believable.
Peter 5 for.
There's an evil monkey in my closet.
And for bird is the word. Peter 6 to 75555. Or go to jamster.com.
I'm over here texting Peter 2. I don't know about all of y'all. Dial Peter 6 to 75555 now. Don't you dare read those terms of service, though, chat. Don't you dare. You want to pay Jamster unfathomable amounts of subscription money every month? But no, the idea behind this batch of ads is just like stuff that would play at 3 a.m. when no one else wanted the ad time, you know?
That fuck is run Family Guy ad.
So well no, not just a Family Guy ad, Zach, but a Family Guy ringtone ad.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want Peter laughing as your ringtone? Because you could have gotten that back in like 2009 or whenever this was.
Are you being
Dude, I can't wait when we get the SpongeBob on DVD ads.
$10,000 or more.
Very Adult Swim core commercials here. I mean, like, Adult Swim had a few more ads than this. I mean, you got like Taco Bell and stuff.
The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your
For what it's
stress.
worth, I don't remember seeing the Tax Doctor on Adult Swim. It was always like on late night local TV.
Stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor.
You can stop the IRS, chat.
To represent your case to help you get the best
just gotta be like
resolution
the
under the
Yoshi.
IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS.
The Tax Doctor was on
your
Disney
stress.
Channel
We've
incessantly at
handled
2 a.m.
thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000.
See,
or
like,
more
that makes
in
more
back
sense to
taxes,
me.
Do not
Because
call the
who is
IRS
watching
alone.
Disney Channel
Call the
at
Tax
2
Doctor
a.m.?
now for a tax emergency.
Who watches Disney Channel at 3 in the morning?
Oh boy, 3 a.m.
Hold on. The intermission screen should be playing here, but now it just literally feels like local TV time like ran out of ads to play. Hold on just a second.
Oh shit.
Well, this is awkward. Oh boy, 3 a.m. Gotta get my taxes done. LOL. I mean, dude, what do you mean you gotta get them done?
Nom nom.
They were due,
excuse
brother.
me, we're back, my dudes.
Are you, dude? Dude, are you are you saying that you didn't do your taxes?
Did you pull a Yoshi?
You know what, base? I won't tell.
That little blooper sent him running.
Given where they're going, that's base as fuck. I won't tell.
Oh right, so the thing I was gonna say, that's like It's like this is both a good thing and a bad thing. So Logan, we're all very happy that finally the Takesha and like and
Okada are finally doing their match.
Yeah, they're finally doing their match, but also at the same time, just like son of a bitch, man. It feels it feels like the only reason.
No, really?
They're doing this. Damn.
Our friggin' outfield sucks balls, dude. Today.
It does. But at the same time, it feels like the only reason they're doing this right now is because Kyle got hurt and made me go, man.
I mean, like, listen, man. You gotta force the hand sometimes, and if that means we lose one Kyle for another Kyle, then I guess that's just how the cookie crumbles. You know?
Yeah.
But no, that sucks. I really hope he recovers, you know, soon.
Yeah, man.
But I enjoy Kevin Knight having a singles belt. That makes me happy. So.
Wow, Keisha does not have a good throwing arm.
Dude, not today.
Yeah.
She's stinking it up out there, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, we gotta fucking throw some heat here. Nice. Alright. Crazy ball time, brother.
That was pretty crazy.
Only 2 more outs and then we clinch the second game. By the skin of our teeth. I'm waiting for Speedball versus Kevin Knight at Double or Nothing. Ah, that would be, dude, that would be so fucking rad. I'm really excited for that.
And now MJF wants that TNT title.
He just wants a title, brother. He just wants a belt. Because he feels incomplete without one. Alright, this could be the final out of the game.
Thank God this kid's on a cold streak.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, I literally thought that was just gonna not give me the out for a second. Alright, the Tigers are at a big fucking deficit now.
That was close though.
That was a close one.
As you can imagine, there will be a lot to celebrate at the pizza parlor tonight. Until next
Vinny, we're not going to the pizza parlor until the fucking game is over. And even then, I got brownies as well. So.
No one's going to the pizza parlor until we win the World Series.
Exactly. We're either gonna win the World Series, or there'll be no Cape Canaveral for anybody.
Period.
Period. Yeah, exactly. For anybody. Period. That's it. Back to Winnipeg.
Look, you just reminded me. Jericho with the fine little T-shirt, apparently copyrighted.
What shirt?
The fine little T-shirt. He on Dynamite last night.
I need to like watch the recent episode. I've only seen Darby and Tommaso. So.
Okay.
Long Boy Club supports Winnipeg, you idiot. Dude, for fucking sure. But no, hold on. I always saw the Tax Doctor on Adult Swim and they were airing King of the Hill and Family Guy reruns as a kid. Specifically the ones in the AM time slot. Because like I never saw them in the PM time slot, and those are the ones I watched. So
I mean King of the Hill does make for good middle of the night watching.
It kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit. Look at Juan Gonzalez.
Woo! This could sit you as well.
This is... Wow. That is... Dude, that is a cold day in hell type of stats right there. That's like
maybe I don't want to feel like playing all against my former team.
Dude, I need you to. This right here. And P. Wheeler? Dude!
No, not P! Wow. DeGan wants to make sure you lose against the Tigers.
Dude, I mean, like, you know what? I fucking guess this is one way to do it. Dude, yeah. Pete Wheeler has Sonic Slowdown shoes from Sonic Labyrinth right here.
Did someone sneak into his house and steal his shoes?
Yeah. They fucking snuck into his house and they replaced his speed sneakers with slow down shoes. All right, I would like for us to watch this one without any commercial interruptions, so we're gonna go ahead and run it right now. Hold on.
It's break time. Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
Okay, I'm gonna strategize over. Oh, the pillow pets.
Pillow pets.
Yay.
Pillow pets are cute, huggable pets that pop open into full-size pillows.
Dude, I never had
They're
one of these
soft
when I
and
was a
cuddly,
kid,
and they
but I
make
wanted one.
perfect pillows. Moms, your kids will absolutely love their pillow pets. You simply undo the hook and loop strap, and the pad pops open into a full-size
Zach,
pillow.
I gotta
Just
buy
fold it up,
PC
reattach
parts,
the
you
hook
know, I
and
don't
loop,
got
and
money to
it's
spend
back
on a
to cuddly
pillow pet
animal.
right
It's
now.
fun and easy. Playtime, sleep time, anytime. Kids of all ages love their pillow
chat about
pets.
your GPU.
There's a panda bear, a ladybug, a
Not
frog,
really.
a dog,
It kind of let me down.
a dolphin, a bumblebee, a monkey, and so
That-
many
that was
more.
just really
Everyone
depressed.
needs a pillow.
Yeah.
Why not have a fun pillow? Pillow
I
pets are
love the
great for
pig
travel.
one, chat.
Look, PJ's
I love the
right
pig
inside.
pillow pet.
Perfect for the overnight trips to Grandma's house. This is more than just another stuffed animal. This is a pillow that your child or grandchild will use every night. It's a pet with a purpose. Every
How
pillow
the fuck
pet is
am I
made of
gonna
ultra
structure
soft,
this out?
high-quality chenille
I
fabric.
guess
The
Amir
heavy-duty
Khan
stitching
up to
ensures
plate
years of
first.
enjoyment. And they're even machine washable.
Followed by
Pillow pets are so soft and huggable. All it
Jacinda,
takes is one hug, and your
Pablo,
child or grandchild will fall in love with their pillow pet. Over
Keisha.
1 million kids are already enjoying their very own pillow pets. Every pillow pet is so cute and unique. The hardest part is choosing which one to get. Go online to www.pillowpets.com.
I mean, you know what?
to see
She's
the full
fucking right,
selection
because,
of
like,
pillow
I
pets.
wanted-
If you have a birthday, holiday,
it is
or
hard
special
to
occasion
figure out
coming
like
up,
which one I
Pillow Pets
want,
make the
because I
perfect
wanted the
$20
dolphin,
gift.
I
Imagine
wanted the
your child or
monkey,
grandchild's face when
I
they
wanted
get their
the
pillow
pig
pet.
as
Pillow
well.
Pets come with a full 60-day money-back guarantee. So go online
And now
right
there's
now
even
to
more you want.
Exactly, now we got Sonic ones.
pillowpets.com. That's www.
I'm sorry, they have a turtle?
Adopt your pillow pet
Turtle.
today.
Where's the giraffe?
That's a very good question. They're scared. They're scared of the money they would make. Clearly.
I also know you really want the Appa as well.
I want the Appa one so bad. I want the Appa pillow pet. Chat, have you seen the Appa pillow pet? I'm pretty sure you have, but you need to see it again.
It's so cute.
He is a giant goober. I'm loading him up right now. I need all of you to see the Appa pillow pet. I will not rest until you do. Hold on. Hold on. The ad is finishing, so you'll be able to see it here in a second. Hold on. Hold on.
Nom nom. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Good God, look at him. Look at him. He's so adorable. He's so adorable. I love how he doesn't have any discernible mouth. I love his little, like, beady eyes. I love his silly little nose and his antlers and the fact that he has, like, you know, a giant fuzzy body like this. Dude, if I liked Avatar as a kid and I got this, I would never ever let it go.
Yeah, because you'd be just so soft.
He would be so soft. Look at him. Look how plush he is. Look how fuzzy he is. I love this very much. I'm a big fan of, like, I mean, I don't know if you could tell by my absolutely adorable appearance, but I enjoy this, like, mode of character design so much, and where like, you know, the face is big and the facial features are kind of small, because, like, I don't know, it's just a really cute aesthetic to me. So, and also they have like really like round limbs like this, so
they
so,
capture him perfectly because in the actual show he's also supposed to be very soft looking as
he
well.
is. Look at him. Look at this fucking gooberino. He's good. Yeah. You know, if I ever make a throne, I gotta put that on there. I gotta put the Appa pillow pet on there.
Hell yeah.
And the Sonic pillow pet and the Shadow pillow pet. But not the SpongeBob one. The SpongeBob one is scary. Why is SpongeBob a pillow pet? Why does he no longer have you know, like his own autonomy?
Now that's a pillow pet I don't want.
Why does he no longer have his own autonomy? Why has he just been reduced to a pet?
He's all square.
He is. Like, SpongeBob is not the pet. Gary is the pet.
Yeah.
But I realized Gary wouldn't make a good pillow pet, so, you know.
Oh, I was about to say missed opportunity, but yeah.
I don't really think Gary the snail would make a good pillow pet, if I'm being honest.
Because who the fuck cares about Gary?
Well, also not that, but how would you adapt him into a pillow pet? Because, like, he doesn't even have any, like, limbs. So.
Yeah.
You know, besides, like, eye stalks. But yeah, anyways. Let's get back to the game, chat. We have one more right here, potentially. And then we've won it. It's been a long road. We're finally here at the end, chat. Potentially. Although, given how much of a cold day, you know, two of my biggest batters are, it is going to be a rough road, I feel like. I feel like we may have met our match in this in this game, but we'll see.
But I'm looking to tell you what happened in that Jericho promo. Basically, he needs to find people to tag team with him for this week's Collision 6-man with Ricochet and his group.
Yeah. Jericho's tagging with the Hurt Syndicate, yeah.
Oh yeah. So it was really later to show the Hurt Syndicate. Jericho just says to Renee, "We're both people." Like, damn.
I don't think Jericho really hurts people. I think he just kind of exists.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. It's time to put this away, Hornet style. Saw Gary plushie that.
It's almost time for a 3.5-minute pillow pets break, my dudes.
I love that. I love that for this channel. But yeah, I would like to watch this week's you know, like AEW Dynamite. But it's honestly been kind of nice to not watch wrestling for a few days after this past weekend.
Yeah, because you are. I actually say you aren't wrestled out for the time being.
Dude, I looked like Pim at the end of the first episode of Smiling Friends. I looked and felt spiritually connected to that fictional character, Pimling from Smiley Friends. Because like
I'm good for a few days.
I've watched, no joke, nearly a whole entire day's worth, near full 24 hours worth of wrestling over the span of 3 days. I was tapped out.
Turn into a sicko.
Dude, I was sicko maxing crazy style over there.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, I was about to say, they were about to fumble that crazy. So, I was at a GameStop, saw a Gary plush that was in the clearance section, but it was from a line of purposely ugly SpongeBob plush. This Gary had teeth for starters. See now, I mean, Gary has teeth, but not, like, visible when his mouth is shut, you know?
Yeah, the only time we see him have teeth is, like, when he, like, smiles and shit.
Yeah, like, when he, like, bears them, so.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's a good catch, though.
Speaking of Gary, I've not seen much modern SpongeBob. I've only seen, like, clips of the new stuff. But one of my favorite new modern SpongeBob eps, at least based on what I've seen, is the one where SpongeBob gives Gary, like, a translation box, and where, like, Gary can actually, like, use it to communicate with SpongeBob with full sentences, right? And he calls SpongeBob Papa Bob, and it is genuinely, like, really, really cute. So
Papa Bob, that's great.
It's so adorable. I love that. And he also speaks like with. He also speaks like with. What I can only describe as like a radio voice. Does Gary talk with? It's like, hello, Papa Bob, and it's very, very funny.
No, Logan. Logan, you mean like one of those old timey like radio voices?
Yeah, kind of like that. But it was like really like, you know, baritone, kind of like, hello there, Papa Bob. And it was very funny. It was good. Okay.
They really got mileage out of Gary, considering, you know, he can't exactly talk.
dude, for fucking real. Ah, dude, you just let me have that shit. You had a cannon of an arm and you just let me take it.
You blew it.
All right, Keisha, redeem yourself from yesterday.
Well, at least she's having a normal day now, not a cool day.
Yeah, I was about to say, because yesterday she was not having a great day. But I feel like she's got it. I feel like that she has it together now. So. Maybe not.
Perhaps not.
But no, like, you know, even though I was completely and absolutely wrestled out. What the? Hey, intermission music. Get that out of here. Okay, I need to fucking look at my commercial comps and make sure that they work fine, because that was not supposed to happen. Oh, dude. What, really now? You're telling me that's not a home run, or at least home run material? Also, Amir Khan got home. Yay! Good job, Amir. Good job. Wait, Ahmed Khan is having a good day?
Oh, hell yeah.
Dude, he's about to fucking send this thing into outer space, I feel like.
So he doesn't hit the screen.
Oh, no, never mind.
Run, Pablo. Ooh.
Nice job, Pablo. Hey! Turn that off. Turn that shit off.
Oh, the intermission music. Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna try with the grounder with him and see how he does running.
What am I supposed to do again?
Dude, I saw your stats. I honestly don't know. I'm gonna be honest, I have no fucking clue. Dude, he's slower than Ahmed Khan!
Man, P is not feeling it today.
P took some fucking eddies before the show here. Wow.
No, he just has the slow shoes on.
Yeah, exactly. He has the slow shoes on. He watched too much Local 58 the night before, and and not even his precious nightlight could save him. Intermission, more like intrusion. I know, dude.
Ah.
And the count is 0-2. From the windup, pitch on the way.
No, Chad, if I were to have a pillow pet of the long boy, I would be absolutely stoked. So.
Oh yeah, we need a giraffe.
I don't know how you would do it, but you gotta do it. So. It's honestly very fun because at Walmart now, and I'm pretty sure that this is kind of a thing at other Walmarts for other members of the LBC. If you go into the infant section, there is a giant, just plush giraffe.
Ah, man!
Nice. You can get like a giant plush of a giraffe over there. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be for like a child's bedroom, but I am 26 years old and I would buy that just to put it in the corner of my house.
And we're like, oh, it's like, oh, this is for your child, right? And you're like, yeah.
Me, I'm the child inside. I am internally the child. Now, please,
Ooh.
I want to have the one. Now, please, I want to have the $80 god. Oh, I thought that was going to count as a home run, Zach.
Yeah, but no, it's a hit off the wall.
It's for your inner child, and that's okay. I know. Dude, I would just buy it and place it, like, in the corner of a room or something. Because, like, it's a very sturdy plush, too, so. Probably. What? That should have been an out, right?
No, it was not forced out.
Ah, dude.
Yeah. It would have been a force out if someone was running from like first to second, second to third. You know, if there was like 2 people on.
Dude, that stinks.
Yep.
I will show them no quarter here. If they lose by 3 games, then they're just gonna have to deal with it until next season. If the league doesn't, if the franchise doesn't dissolve in that time. Oh shit!
He tried. Yep.
Dude,
double play! So
double play! Dude, I can't remember the last time we got a double play. I mean, really, I don't think we need it right now. Actually, no. He most certainly needs it. Hold on.
Ready now, and the throw. The skate. Watch your ears. It's a screaming line drive. You scream too if you were hit that hard, let me tell you. Safe at first.
He's so slow, dude. He's slower than JavaScript is now.
Ugh, man.
Runner on first. No out. Okay, pitcher, give me one right over the center.
All right, grounder.
Ooh, yeah.
Or line drive.
Or line drive.
No, grounder. I can't figure it out.
Gotta watch your kneecaps.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking, not grounder.
Oh shit!
Whoa! What a cannon!
Ooh. Wow! I'm going.
Trying to play mind games over here.
This right here is cerebral baseball. Shit! And I just gave them the power up.
Yep.
Such a young kid. Seems he's a good attention span. He'll be a great player one day. 2 out.
We're talking about Vinny's already a great player.
Yeah, dude, have you not seen his home run percentage? That shit is goated.
Pitch on the way.
That was not very goated. I'll give you that.
And the count is 0-1.
That right there was not goated. But no, like, I was gonna say that despite how much wrestling I watched over the weekend, it really opened my eyes to just how versatile wrestling can be when you look outside of the big 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though they all took place under the GCW Collective banner, every show gave me something different. So,
yeah.
You know what's goated? Cheetos. That's what.
That's true.
And that's the bottom line, cause the homunculus says so.
That's incredibly based, actually. Ah, shit, dude, this right here is the Super Bowl, okay? He saw all of that.
Mm-hmm.
The Hornets leading.
In the Grand Prix, everyone sees everything. I'm sorry.
Randolph Luger.
But no, it showed me just how versatile, like, wrestling can be, because especially Joey Janela's Spring Break, because that had a lot of things in it. It had, like, it had a little bit of everything. It had a big old, like, comedy match featuring legends and callbacks. It had a big old spectacle match with, you know, Effie and fucking Alley Catch.
Mm-hmm.
It had surprises in it, you know, like with the mixed tag match. And it had a look into the future of pro wrestling with Joey Janela and Brody Lee Jr. Brody Lee Jr., by the way, is actually pretty fucking good. Like, even for his age, he is showing great signs of eventually becoming, like, a really great wrestler. So...
Yeah.
I feel like he'll be a really, like, big get one day.
Oh, you even watch Bloodsport.
Bloodsport. It's Bloodsport, Zach.
Bloodsport.
Yes, I did watch Bloodsport. It was the final Bloodsport for the foreseeable future, so you know what? Another instance of me getting into something in wrestling when it's basically already over. So,
bro, that's like the second time that's happened to you.
I did... The same happened with DPW. You know?
So how does this keep happening?
The same shit happened with DPW.
Man, you have 2 nickels at this point.
I do. I got 2 nickels, brother. I really don't want it to be a third. I would like to just, you know, enjoy stuff while it's happening. So, because, you know, getting into stuff when it's too late, it's never really that fun because, like, then you're not really able to be excited about it, like, you know, in time with everybody else. But also, you're kind of experiencing it from a fresh perspective.
I wouldn't want to meet him in a
like,
fight alley either.
I should probably go back and watch at least a little bit of Deadlock Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
Final Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, not Final Bloodsport, according to Brett Lauderdale. Anyhow, well, we'll see if someone else wants to run it. I guess. Whoa. Okay. Oh, dude, that is dangerous. That is a dangerous position to be in, right there.
Oh, no.
Okay, yeah, I need to get him out. Here. Or, you know what? He'll just fucking get the runs. Yeah, just fuck my life, I guess.
man, that double play really costed you.
Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. That one double play cost me my lead.
Yep.
In the long run.
Now suddenly it's tied. No blink of an eye.
I have a sinking feeling that they have one more.
Oh.
Whoa, 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 whoa! The cannon on Java Crit! I wasn't expecting that, I'm gonna be honest.
They caught you sleeping.
They did. Natty Neidhart's Bloodsport sounds decent to me. I feel like it should be sort of headed by someone outside of the WWE. Because if it's headed by someone from the WWE, I feel like that's just gonna give off the message where it's like, okay, we're gonna tame this down super crazy style, you know, not like Super Crazy the wrestler, but like insane, like just this is mid as fuck, you know. I'd give it to either Shayna or Tom Lawler. I feel like Shayna's a pretty good, you know, bet at this point, but also I feel like Tom Lawler is also a little safer because, like, you kind of know that he's not going to, you know, go to the Fed at all, so.
No doubt about that.
I just hope Natty knows what she's doing because she seems like someone that's very knowledgeable about the sport itself. She's been in the game long enough.
I mean, I did like the match that she had with Shayna at the last Bloodsport, so. Tom Lawler's Bloodsport actually sounds right. That does! That sounds fucking great, especially when you have someone, you know, with the indie pedigree of a Tom Lawler. I feel like that's kind of putting it in good hands from the jump. So.
Ken Shamrock is so light, but his brain is mush.
I would not give him Bloodsport. Moreover, I would not let him compete in Bloodsport, brother.
Oh, Pablo! No,
I would not give him Bloodsport, nor would I let him compete in it.
Oh, wow, Logan, you just see it drop.
I probably could have stole another base there, but whatever.
Yeah.
Give myself a bit of challenge, I guess. Like, I can see the graphic in my head and it checks out. It does, honestly. I like that. Like, you know, I enjoy Shayna Baszler, but respectfully, I think there's too much of a chance of her being re-signed by the Fed. You know? And then that, you know, more or less becoming a WWE subsidiary, which, well, we know how that turned out for TNA. So,
yeah.
or at least we're seeing how that turned out for TNA. Also, hi Ace. Sorry, I'm in the middle of my thought. How are you doing, Ace? Welcome on in. Ah, really? Dude, that could have been a friggin' power-up swing. Okay. Okay, he's using all of his power-up pitches here, which tells me that he's getting off the mound here soon.
From the stretch and the delivery.
Damn it. Okay, well, Pablo's still on base, so.
Aquaman.
Okay, he might get the shit out, honestly.
Alleys are scary.
They have a runner on.
You don't want to meet Ahmed Khan in a dark alley?
Those big ass headphones?
Brother, that silhouette is crazy.
Wow, way
Wow, that was way outside the strike zone. What? Ken Shamrock is still alive, but his brain is mush. I love that.
Ahmed!
That's out. Yeah, that's out. Dude, we may lose this one. Honestly.
We might go to extras.
We might go to extra innings, yeah.
The windup and the throw. A swing. A bouncing ball.
But yeah, Bloodsport also kind of showed me, you know, basically raw underground if they gave a shit. So.
Yeah.
Because, like, literally the whole premise of Raw Underground is if you just did Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, but worse. So. Like, that was literally their entire thing. They just copied his homework.
Was Bloodsport even a thing when Raw Underground happened?
I think so. I think that was like a late 2010s proposition, and, you know. Raw Underground is a purely pandemic phenomenon, I feel like. So.
Because I was saying, Shane looked at Bloodsport and just like, hey, I want to do that.
And you know what? If he waited a few more years, Josh Barnett would have been coming like, dude, do I got news for you? We're running something at the fucking Horseshoe in Vegas. And maybe you should fucking come and get, you know, hit like 500 times by Timothy Thatcher, dude.
This girl, but can she hit the ball?
2 outs.
We're gonna, you know what, Shane? We're gonna pair you up with Nick fucking Gage. The king of this shit.
Pablo!
You, my friend, are gonna work with MD, the representative of the murder, death, kill gang, MDK all fucking day. And then fucking Nick Gage breaks out the pizza slicer and slices Shane McMahon's head. Like he did with fucking Chris Jericho in AEW. I would have completely memory holed Nick Gage working an AEW match if not for the transition from like Nick Gage slicing Jericho's head open into the picture-in-picture. Because, like, literally the very first ad that played after, you know, the picture-in-picture started was as Nick Gage was using the pizza cutter on Jericho's forehead, a Domino's ad played.
Bro, the timing of that.
It was so funny. Like, you could not have written something better than that, honestly.
It's like poetry rhymes.
I hope they didn't hurt themselves.
Dude, we wasted a screaming line drive. That hurt me.
Yeah.
Here's the windup, the delivery, a swing.
Pete.
How the mighty have fallen, dude.
He's having a bad day.
The mighty have fallen here on this on this night. The once quick as lightning Pete Wheeler reduced to a shell of his former self after the nefarious Dr. Eggman replaced his shoes with slow-down sneakers.
This is Pete Wheeler's fault. It's probably the Detroit Tigers' fault. It probably hired one of the kids to sneak into Pete Wheeler's bedroom and replace his shoes.
Dude, they fucking hired Dr. Eggman to do it. He still has those left over. They hired Dr. Eggman to go into Pete's home and replace his shoes with slow-down sneakers.
Sure, I don't have a use for these anymore after that plan failed.
After that nefarious hedgehog. After that infernal hedgehog foiled my plans with them.
Wow, she took a walk.
Wow. That is honestly surprising.
Yeah.
Given how, like, slow and bad she is. So...
I'm sending that ball on a one-way trip to Cooperstown.
Now your stats today.
Hold on. Let me see your stats, brother. Why does it not show that he has a cold day?
Yeah,
see?
Because, yeah, I know what you mean. Sure as fuck having one, though.
Like, wow.
Oh, my back.
Oh, man. And he's blowing out his back. This guy is cooked, Zach.
So cooked.
Juan Gonzalez is Juan gone from the fucking batting plate. Wow.
Oh, my back.
Oh, my back.
Okay. Okay, bro. I need to take you out after this.
Do you need to see a doctor?
I'm gonna need Pete to finish up that cloning trick that he did a couple of games ago, because that could come in handy right now.
Oh, what?
I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, because you were too busy managing your blown out back to fucking pay attention to the ball.
Yeah, oh, my back. What? Strike? Oh.
Ow, my liver. Ow, my lasagna.
No. Hey, whoa,
hey!
Stop trying to hit the dick in the wheelchair.
Hey! Can you will you quit doing that? Will you guys quit doing that, please? Come on. Nice. Actually, that's not... Actually, that's not all that nice. Whoa! No way! They somehow, they managed to get on base. Somehow, after that comedy of errors, they managed to get on base. So.
I'm gonna shoot.
And now Amir Khan's gonna send them home.
At least Amir Khan is always having a good day.
Oh!
Like that! MVP of this game.
Wow. MVP of this team, probably. Like, who has hit more home runs on this team than Amir Khan?
Maybe his brother.
I don't think so. I feel like we've seen Amir Khan run these bases more than his brother.
Well, we'll get to the stats after the game is over.
Actually, hold on. Let's forget check the stats right now. I'll pull them up for you, Zach. I got the statistics right here.
Got the receipts. Alright, there's HR right there. Just home run.
Season. 11. Keisha's... Dude, they got 11... Okay, hold on. They got 11 in the season each, right? 11 in the regular season. However, in the postseason... What? How many home runs did Pablo get in the regular season? No, in the postseason. Yeah, Pablo got 12. Holy goats.
has more home runs in the postseason than the regular season.
Holy fucking goat, dude. He has more home runs in the postseason. Dude, we played a fraction of the games that we played in the regular season. And he already, like, eclipsed his, like, seasonal record. That's crazy.
The fact that Jocinda somehow has even 2 home runs this postseason is a miracle in of itself.
I'm surprised that Juan Gon has none, frankly.
Yeah.
Although he didn't get too many in the regular season. And Jocinda got 1 home run in the regular season and 2 in the post. So,
bro, you know why Pablo has so many home runs? Because of the Mets game.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, to be fair, the fucking Mets game, they are juicing the stats.
Yeah, it's inflated a bit.
Yeah, like the stats are juiced a little bit.
Alright, so Pablo is actually the MVP of the postseason.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I am still floored by how much we whipped the freaking Mets' ass. That
like
was
belts
insane.
Like belts and shit.
We put belt to ass to the Mets. That was insanely one-sided.
Just whoosh.
Here's the pitch. That was ball 1.
Come on. Amir fucking gone. Absolutely.
And the throw. Ball 2. Just a bit outside.
Oh, and also the Immortal Clusterfuck also gave me a lot of comedy wrestling as well. And because of that, it's my favorite match of all time. Like, it didn't have a lot of great wrestling in it, really. But never have I had more fun watching a wrestling match than I did with the Immortal Clusterfuck. So...
And I am dead fucking serious.
I'm dead fucking serious, dude. It is my favorite match of all time now.
And the 4th inning's over. Fernando, nobody out.
Like, you can have all of the friggin', like, Supremo athletic moves you want. But, if you're not having fun out there...
Hello, Mario.
You gotta pack it up, because I don't want to see ya.
It's like if the Mr. Frog match was on crack.
Yes! Genuinely! And it was on crack for 2.5 actual real-life hours. Because that's how the match is. Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes, it was 2.5 hours long. At least.
Holy shit, that's movie length.
I mean, it has 69 entrants. Nice. I love comedy wrestling about as much as I do deathmatch wrestling. I mean, comedy wrestling is hard. Like, you gotta give it to fucking, guys that are able to keep the crowd entertained with that stuff. Especially with a crowd as smarky as, like, GCW's. So.
And the count is 0-1. I'm gonna get you, batter.
Dude, that's your sister. The very least you could do is show a little bit of gusto.
I'm gonna get you, Vicky, you piece of shit.
I'm gonna get you, Vicky. This right here's for stepping on our dog's tail. You bitch. Here we go. She's staying alive here. Yeah, Rainbow Roger, how you doing tonight? Welcome on into tonight's Long Boy Club meeting. We're over here talking about the Immortal Clusterfuck, which happened over WrestleMania weekend. And preceding that was also... Dude, Infinite. If you love comedy wrestling about as much as you love fucking deathmatch wrestling, then the Immortal Clusterfuck, it may as well be the best show on the planet for you. Because it had one match that was like deathmatch wrestling, and then the rest of it was just a battle royal that was mostly comedy stuff. So,
what's the battle royal? Also 2.5 hours.
I mean, the battle royal was 2.5 hours. The deathmatch was like 30 minutes, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Between the entrances and the actual match, I think it was only like 30 minutes. So.
Crazy part is it isn't even the longest match of all time.
No, it's not. It's not even close to the longest match of all time.
Yeah.
Like the
what was it? It had to do like Uno, or Evil Uno, I believe.
Mystery Wrestling tried to break the record. I don't think they did, but it was like over a day long, I believe.
Mm.
I'm still sad I missed the death match before the clusterfuck. I mean, like, you know, it was like quintessential deathmatch shit. So, I think you would have liked it.
Competition is feeling the hornet's sting out there.
Come on, Tigers, give me something here. You're about to lose everything.
Man, this got turned to 2012 World Series where they got swept by the Giants.
I'm sorry, Zach. Better luck next year.
I say as a tear rolls down my eye.
Dude, not only is it foul, but he got out. Holy shit. Come on.
Oh wow, I'm so surprised. The Lions took a defense player in the draft. Wow, I am so surprised and shocked. Not like they do that every year.
Okay, why is that surprising and shocking, Zach? Is it because they do it every year?
It's because they do it every year.
Well, you know, they have. I mean, like, they're a notoriously bad team, so maybe they should not do that for once.
Well, okay, okay, I say it like that, but the defensive players they end up drafting and end up being really good.
Mm-hmm.
I also say that, but a few years ago they did draft a running back, so maybe I shouldn't be so shocked. But just most of the time they draft, and at least in this era they've drafted mostly defensive players, but they end up being really good. So I guess I can't complain too much if they end up being good.
Dude, is that out?
Oh no, maybe.
Oh,
no.
Vicky!
On the warning track.
She's a bulldog out there, dude. That's crazy.
That's the end of the fifth.
She's last chance for the Tigers.
She is holding that outfield down with only her little pink tap dancing shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Mario.
All right, it's the last chance for the Tigers.
And Bill Glenn with the steel chair. What the? Okay. All right.
Let's find out. At least the Tigers did win their.
Hello, Mario.
All right, I guess we're watching Gaming in the Clinton years real fast.
Now here's an infuriating.
Yeah, you know why not?
Myst
why
is
not?
A top-selling PC game.
You know, it gives me a minute's stretch.
On the Sony PlayStation. No other game best represents the sluggishness of CDs. Even when you have the fast transition option selected from the menu screen, the game performs as well as a snail. Myst is definitely.
Oh no, I've seen some pretty
though,
high-performing snails,
as we
George,
show you around the
in my
main
time.
island. Notice the quality of detail in
Also,
the graphics and the
Marion,
non-uniformity
Fluffy,
of trees and whatnot.
how are you both doing tonight?
Myst
Welcome on
combines a
into
surreal,
tonight's
what
Long
we
Boy
call
Club
Gaia
meeting.
theme and a scientific mysteriousness
We're over
that
here
both intrigues
mollywopping
and
the
perplexes.
Detroit Tigers.
Let's get back to the infuriating quality
in the World Series.
But the past two games have been close.
We really tried.
They have been close,
But even
yes.
with a hint book, the game is invincible. There's one key problem
Much like the
area
Hornets,
very
they're
early
invincible.
in the game, and we never passed it. The problem is in
The game is
spaceship,
invincible.
where you must enter a musical sequence to a tuner. The musical sequence is found in a book in the
Again,
library.
George sucks at
There's
video
even a
games.
harpsichord in
I
the
mean, to be fair, I
spaceship,
probably
so you
wouldn't know
can
what
play
I'm doing
notes,
in this
hear
game
them,
either, so.
remember them, and enter them
Chilling.
correctly
I did
in the
my
tuner.
stream.
Well, good luck entering
I'm chilling.
them. Even entering one note at a time
I did my
won't
stream a
work
bit
for
ago,
us.
so
We
just
know other
chilling.
players who got stuck here too, but they only
I'm
play
very
the game
tired,
simply.
Marion.
This is absolutely ridiculous because
Yeah,
even though you
the
know
long
the
boy had
solution,
3 hours of
you
sleep
can't
over
execute
here.
it.
I had 3 hours of
Another
sleep,
gripe.
yes, so I'm
Myst
probably
has no
not
password
long for the
feature,
waking
so
world.
memory cards are a must. One thing that isn't a must,
So
however,
for
is
your
Myst
sake,
itself.
you're hoping the Tigers
Sorry,
don't
guys,
come back.
but I've
I'm
had enough
tired,
of being
boss.
mystified. And if I have to put up with one more groaning noise from the PlayStation
As it very slowly switches screens, I'll freak out. And if I have to see one more moon demon, I'll freak out.
Freak out.
Like, genuinely, I
But
will
actually-
freak out.
but they like an actual scream, freaking out.
Ah. I'll be like,
Ah.
ah. Ah, moon demon.
Moji, how do you do?
How do you do, brother? Do you want me to fucking... Do you want me to give praise to you? Because that's what the TV tells me to do. If Homunculus sees Pablo again, he'll freak out, dude. Dude, if he should be freaking out at anybody right now, it's a goddamn JavaScript. Because she cannot get anything in this game. She's been like consistently the worst player on the team, even amongst guys that are having cold days. You know?
Yep. Oh!
Wow! That may be out, dude.
Nope.
What? I'm surprised. I am shocked that didn't go out.
Dude, I love how
Whoa!
Oh!
He's fast as fuck, boy! Wow. Dude, that might have been their only chance. I think this game's over.
Dude, I love how when the ball hits the screen and you see the static.
I know, it's great. That honestly, that might have been their only chance. I think that this I think we got this series locked up, Zach.
Yeah, he's being greedy.
I'm not being greedy, they're being shit.
No, I mean them, the Tigers, they're being greedy.
Yeah, they were, yeah, that they were.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that they were. Wow, okay, hold on, maybe I spoke too soon.
Ahmed!
Ahmed! Pay attention, brother!
Oh. Wait,
just because we're about to win the World Series doesn't mean that you could just phone it in for the last inning. I also made chicken drumsticks for dinner. I love that.
I had a hamburger.
I have leftover ribs in the fridge.
Oh, speaking of wrestling though, Logan, I know one of your server members had a dream about Jerry Lawler and Motel.
Oh yeah, Soul fucking had a dream about Jerry Lawler in drag being a motel guest or being a motel owner.
Bro, that just sounds like an Attitude Era skit.
Hi, I'm here to give you room service. Ah.
man, motel, wrestling shit. Man, where was that CNC No Evil?
I've got the continental breakfast down for you in the main lobby. Ah. Locked up. It's done.
Sure.
In a sweep at the World Series.
Get the broom out.
World Series! I don't believe it! They've won it all! 5-2.
This
Wow.
is the greatest moment in their baseball careers. They've done it. They've won it all. The whole enchilada, the big kahuna, the plate of spaghetti. They are the champions of the Backyard World Series.
The plate of spaghetti? What does that mean?
Forget it, kid. I was on a roll. Thanks for the memories, folks. This is Vinny the Future. Everybody's signing off until next season.
Incredible.
Click here to see results from around the league.
Dude, what do you mean? I am the fucking league. World Series champs crowned. Season ends in royal fashion. At the beginning of the season, folks said we never get this far, but here we are, said the Hornets co-captain, Ahmed Khan. I'd just like to thank my mom for providing the orange slices, said Juan Gonzalez. Thank you, Juan's mom. You really did a number on Pete's speed with those orange slices, brother. You can keep those at home next season for fucking real.
Just don't be near Christian Cage.
for sure. We did it. We won the World Series, chat. Whoa!
Let's say league leaders.
Roster. Click here to view your roster and start the next game.
Whoa, no.
Are you sure you want to play a new season with this team? Wait, you can like... No. I want to like create one that's like brand new from the ground up if I want to do that. We did it!
Here's league leaders.
League leaders across... I guess the entirety of the season, maybe.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't seem like that. It only seems like just the main season for some reason. Yeah, it only seems like it gives me the main season for some reason.
Ooh.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense considering that, you know. Hold on. Oh, let me see Hall of Fame. Look at this. I'm so proud of them, chat. What? Oh, okay, but Juan Gonzalez just got moved from one of them.
For some reason.
Record book. Amir Khan and Keisha Phillips had the most home runs in the regular season.
Yep.
Pablo Sanchez was number 8. Let's see here. Hits. Dude, we swept the hits in the regular season with the most hits going to the legendary Pete Wheeler. I mean, he was just a machine all season long, I feel like. I feel like out of everyone. What?
The Bunt King.
The Bunt King. And even then, he fucking like, you know, got like a bunch of runs too. In fact, in terms of runs, he was the most efficient out of the entire league. The only one training behind him was Pablo. Hi, Henry. I would be very happy about these results too, Henry. Like, look at this. 36 runs for Pete Wheeler on the regular season. And that's not even counting what he got in the postseason. The only one close to him is Pablo Sanchez, and that's still down by 4. So
like we got our doubles and triples.
Let's see our doubles and triples. Okay, so it does. Okay, so it looks like that the only one that made it onto here for our team was Ahmed Khan, which honestly I didn't think that he was quick enough to get triples, but there you go. He got 3 on the regular season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doubles. Those were ruled by Pablo Sanchez and Ahmed Khan.
I love your coach name is Stuff.
I am, dude, I'm Stuff. I'm Stuff. Let's see here. Runs. Well, how about runs batted in? With someone like Joe May, I'm surprised that the Mets didn't really give us much more, but we were just sweeping this shit, dude. Amir Khan, 33 runs batted in. Ahmed Khan, 32 runs batted in. So this right here is concrete proof that Amir was at least slightly better than his brother on this season.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
They were equal, so to speak.
They were, dude. Runs batted in was practically ruled by the Khan brothers.
Yep.
And again, trailing behind them was Pablo, and then Keisha. And then, in joint 6th place, Juan Gonzalez with Mikey Thomas and Zenon Ostrada, apparently. Let's see here.
Batting average. Yeah, Pete Wheeler, look at him.
Dude. It's not even close. We swept this shit.
Yeah.
The highest batting average for someone who was not a Hornet is .564. Meanwhile, at the top... Actually, no. Let's start from the bottom. Juan Gonzalez. 620. Amir Khan. 677. Keisha Phillips. 683. Ahmed Khan. 701. Pablo Sanchez, 724. Pete Wheeler, 765. For every 4 pitches that he got, he hit 3 of them at least. So, That is insane for someone whose, like, supposed contact is supposed to be below average. I think this calls for a sub. Dude, I agree. Dude, for fucking sure. Wow. Steals? I'm surprised that Pete didn't get many steals, but I guess that's because he was too busy getting inside the Parkers.
So, because he ran so fast.
Because he ran so fast that he couldn't get any steals, because he was too busy getting inside the Parkers. So. Now, unfortunately... Oh, wait. Strikeouts was how many, like, strikeouts the pitchers got. Again, Kenny Kawaguchi up at the top. There are technically better pitchers in this game than Kenny, but Kenny is very consistent. So
well, there's one person that was one behind him.
One behind him, Sean Green on the Dodgers.
Yep.
Which, you know what? I'm glad that Kenny rose above and he got the most. Congratulations, Kenny. And again, steals Pablo and Keisha. Keisha's pretty fast too, so like I'm not surprised that she got a lot of steals. Let's see here. We are not on the earned runner average at all. Errors?
Oh, who made errors?
What?
Oh, Pete did.
Pete. You know what? That's fair. Pete did in fact get quite a few errors in this season, and it was not a pretty sight, especially in the postseason. Like he was, like in the field in the postseason, he was a liability. So
yeah.
And there you go. Those are your stats right there.
Yep.
And you know, all I could say is, what a ride, brother. This was very fun. I know that I complained a little bit about, the game being too easy at points, but this was a very fun experience. I'm glad that I got to share it with all of you, and I'm glad I got to share it with you, Zach.
Yeah, say here. It made you a baseball fan.
This shit means something to me, dude. This shit means something. This game and its predecessor were the beginning of my baseball fandom. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, now when people ask you, so Mr. GirafaStev, how would you become a baseball fan? You just point to this.
I take off my glasses and I shed a tear.
Yeah.
Pablo.
Let me tell you a story.
Pablo.
I can't. I can't wait. I can't wait for a new game that's coming out this summer.
I can't wait too. We're gonna play that shit on stream for sure. So, but yeah, I think I'm done with backyard baseball for the time being. This was incredibly fun, but I think that this has most definitely run its course. However,
yeah.
I feel like we have a bit of time, Zach, for one more game.
Just one more game?
Just one!
Just one more game? Logan, you know something I did? I kept doing by accident? I kept accidentally selecting quick play, and it gave me random players, like, on the team.
I don't think there's quick play in this one, though. Is there?
There isn't?
I don't think there is.
Any difficulty level, members.
I feel
you
like
also spectate if you want.
we gotta watch, dude. We gotta watch it in spectator mode on hard mode, 9 innings. This right here is the all-star game of this. All right.
Dude, dude. We'll be the commentators for it.
And we'll be the commentators. Fuck it. We're gonna back out and we're gonna do commentary, dude.
Yeah.
Backyard hockey next, dude. I'm thinking more backyard basketball, really, because I'm just more into basketball. But, I mean, hockey isn't out of the question. I would like to, branch out into other sports games. And, before baseball, I was most interested in learning about basketball. Because it appeals the most to my ADHD brain in the moment. Whereas, baseball has a lot of stats and you know, like a lot like of intangibles that make my brain go burr. So
I know you got to experience, well, not experience, but get a taste of what basketball is like when you were working at the news station. I remember that.
Yeah, I did, because when I was working at the news station, I would always, like, you know, help with production for, you know, the sports people when they were doing stuff with, you know, the with the minor league team in my field. And you know, I got some exposure to you know, like baseball through that, but I was never really in the mindset to fully appreciate it. But now I do. So there you go. Thank you, Backyard Baseball. Now, let's fucking go. What? Pff, okay.
That's like for you.
It already does it. I don't... You know what? I feel like this is perfect, honestly. I would love it if my Chicago Cubs beat the LA Dodgers here as the final thing in this game.
Yeah.
But
and
first,
the Cubs are so far having a good season.
Yeah, I know. So, like they're on a 9-game winning streak so far. So you know, it's a really good start to the season. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter much as we get further into the season because teams ebb and flow. But it's a pretty good sign of, you know, things to come. So
I will say this: the Mets. God, thank God they won today. They just ended a 12-game losing streak.
That is an incredible drought, dude. Not even the Mariners are sucking that bad right now. Well, actually, the Mariners are just kind of okay right now, I feel like. So
you could say they're kind of
mid.
Yeah, mid.
Yeah. Yeah, chat. We're gonna toss the break here real fast, and then we're gonna come back, and we are going to have ourselves a bit of a spectator baseball game. Also, Marianne, I love that you're a grandma cook, because if you have mashed potatoes and roasted carrots with your chicken drumsticks, that shit is like picturesque, like family home type stuff. And listen, I like me some roasted carrots, and mashed potatoes and chicken. So yeah, you put that in front of me, I will not say no to it. Anyways, Zach, I think we need to take an ad break. One more for the road.
Just one more.
Just one. All right. Run the ad. We'll see you all in a few minutes. Take it away, homunculus, from the Cheetos factory.
It's break time. Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
Are your feet so rough that you need a
sander? Oh my God.
Is your skin jagged enough to pop a balloon? Do your heels tear through pantyhose on a daily basis? Now, from earth to skin, there's doctor-recommended Heel Stick. Cracked
what
heel
the
renewal.
fuck am I looking at?
24 to 48 hours, I could see an improvement in my skin when I used Heel Stick.
I'm in such shock after using the Heel Stick. My feet feel so much softer. They feel like baby's feet.
This easy-to-use soothing balm helps to protect skin against dry, cracked heels.
Before I had the Heel Stick, it looked like I had rhino skin. I had scales and cracks, and afterwards, I had really, really silky skin.
Just glide it like a roll-on with no mess and no fuss.
Lotions and creams sit on the top of the skin. That's not where the problem is. If you have real chronic dry, cracked feet, the problem is deeper. The Heel Stick actually gets to the cause of the problem.
The Heel Stick contains antibacterial and antifungal ingredients to treat not only the heel, but the entire foot.
Use it to soothe cracked feet, to soften rough knees, elbows. It even works great on your cuticles.
My feet felt a lot softer. They didn't seem to crack or bother me.
Anytime I get any type of dry skin, I use the Heel Stick, and it's like it magically disappears.
So stop hiding horrendous heels and start loving your feet again with the Heel Stick Cracked Heel Renewal. Call now and get the 1-ounce Heel Stick for just $10.
The search is over. I've finally found the solution to my dry feet and getting rid of that pain.
If you order right now, we'll supersize you to our large 2.5-ounce Heel Stick. But we're still not done. If you call right now, we'll double the value. Just pay separate shipping and handling. That's right. You'll get 2 Heel Sticks, 1 to keep and 1 to share.
Supersize you.
Value, all for just $10. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-671-8525 to order cracked heel stick. Call now and get a $20 bonus second heel stick just for ordering. So call 1-800-671-8525. Call now.
Bro, that ad was wild.
I'll tell you what, chat, my sides hurt.
Oh, my back!
Dude, my back is feeling like Juan Gonzalez's back at the final game of the series. Hey, I'm gonna friggin' retweet either reskeet this shit here and say that it's now all-star game time. Full 9 yards, yards being innings in this case.
So nom nom. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Let me put on some music.
Bro, you should have heard me. I was listening to stream while you were gone, listening to ad. I was like, "What the fuck am I looking at?" and they said, "Supersize you." I'm just like, "Supersize me,
dude." That dates it so fucking bad. What? I don't want to supersize anything that has to do with that. Honestly. Yeah. No, the All-Star game happens here in just a few minutes, y'all. Get comfy.
Grab the popcorn, like the Afro dude.
Exactly. You know, Zach, I feel like I need water as well. So, you know what? I'm going to do something that I don't really do all that much. We're going to play a second ad, but this time everyone gets to see the commercial comp. So,
nothing beats a cool, refreshing sip of water.
Thank you, Zach, but I need to refill my water.
Refill, then take a sip.
Yes, exactly. Give me just a second here. We gotta play the commercial break.
I don't think you can do so soon, can you?
I mean, I can run it through StreamerBot if I want to. So. Let's see. Ad play. There you go. Let's test it.
It's break time. Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
Well, what's after this?
Wow, the stinger!
Holy
Jimmy,
shit, base.
I'm from the Dream Come True Fantasy Foundation. You ready to
What is this?
You bet! Mom! Daddy!
Oh, hell yeah!
Hold on! Now I'm ready.
It looks so real.
Don't count on Sprite to do anything but quench your thirst.
Are you tired of cute TV? Well, grab a ringside seat and watch the celebrity matches you've grown to love. Now you can take home your favorite big-name brawls with Celebrity Deathmatch Rounds 1 and 2. Now available on home video. In Round 1, you'll get bonus behind-the-scenes footage. And Round 2 features the WWF's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hey! And don't forget everyone's favorite, Mills Lane.
Let's get it on! Pick up Celebrity Deathmatch Rounds 1 and 2. Now available on home video.
You said a mouthful there, Johnny.
Betty, do you have a date? Would you like to go to the dance? Many arrangements for the prom? Such a dork.
Isn't that a cute dress, Betty? Yeah, last season.
Hi, Betty.
WCW Mayhem. It starts in the ring. It just doesn't have to end there. Oh my goodness.
That was so rude.
On the plains of Africa, one would find the following: the herbivore or plant eater, the
dude, I came back to base. I came back to peak. Wow.
The giraffe.
Yay! And the mankind ad.
Yep.
That shit's overstuffed, dog.
Bro, shout out to McFoley for doing this ad.
I know.
For all mankind.
That shit's overstuffed like crazy. I've yet to actually get a can of it after saying I would on stream.
Damn.
It probably tastes bad these days, but I would like to give it one shot. So.
Damn, Logan, how can you lie to your audience like that?
I know, I'm sorry about that, guys. It will happen again.
I haven't been lied to this much since Nickelodeon promised the best day ever from SpongeBob.
I know, right? and boy, was it the best day ever, Zach.
Not really. They hyped it up like it's some kind of special, but it's just a 11-minute episode.
How's that to say?
Regular.
They were calling anything a special back then, huh?
Yeah.
They were calling it like any SpongeBob anything a special.
Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
That rivals the 10th anniversary like Truth or Square thing. They brought the fuck out of it. It was like a made-for-TV movie that was absolute dog shit.
Yeah, I know. It was really bad. Anyways, I don't think this will be bad, Zach. I feel like we got a really good game on our hands. Welcome, everyone, to the LBC Baseball Federation. My name is GirafaStev. What?
No, you first.
My name is GirafaStev, alongside my broadcast colleague, Zachary, the Undead President Taylor. How are you doing, Zach?
I'm doing great. I can't wait to see these two great baseball clubs go at it.
Brother, we got two heaters here. We got the Chicago Cubs taking on the mighty Los Angeles Dodgers, LBCGTQ+. I will not co-op that, brother. But you know what? Listen, how about this? Patch, am I allowed to co-op that? Well, not co-op it, but just fucking have it there. Anyways, let's get to the game here. On the mound first is Ashley Weber. Do they even have two of the Weber twins on this team?
Well, find out as this game goes along. Imagine she's on the other team.
Dude, that'd be sick as fuck. I couldn't really talk to either of the teams before this game. So, like, I don't really know the team comps, but we're gonna learn about it as we go on, partner. So,
wait, is that Juan Gonzalez back there, though? Or no? That's someone else.
No, that right there is Sammy Sosa, the Juice Man himself.
Oh, this is it.
Right
Who may have been up on the juice.
Yeah, we got Ronnie Dobbs back there, too, and right now, Vicky Kawaguchi up at bat. She allows a ball to pass her by.
Series.
Yeah, we just saw her in the World Series. Unfortunately, she kind of bricked it against her, brother at the mound. But she finally makes contact there. There you go.
Not down.
Ashley Weber perhaps making incidental contact there with Stephanie Morgan as Kenny Lofton, the Guardians original, steps up to the plate, looking to make a big name for himself here on the Dodgers as he makes contact. Another weak contact here for the LA Dodgers, Zach.
Yeah, I see Pete Wheeler, but I don't see other Weber twin. They don't have her on here.
No, so like I don't really know what the coach is thinking here with this team comp, but maybe he has something in mind that I'm not thinking of. Either way, they have two great draft picks here in terms of Sammy Sosa and Pete Wheeler, two incredible powerhouse teams. Rather, two incredibly powerhouse players here, Zach. If you'll remember in the last season, Pete Wheeler had the best batting average in the entire league and the most runs in the entire league. So he's a force to be reckoned with here on the field.
Let's see if he can repeat that today.
Let's see if he can bring some of that talent here to the Cubs.
I'll laugh if Cindy Weber is on the opposing team.
I gotta be honest, Zach. I'm feeling a little unsure about Weber here at the mound because she has gotten two players on base already, and is about to potentially walk Jose here.
Yeah, Jose. Zero.
He's about to potentially walk him here. Oh, but as I say that, she gets her first strikeout on the day.
She just needs to settle in a bit.
Exactly.
Oh no! The bringer reigns right here. Maybe she's gonna be the pitcher for today's game.
Dude, that was a mean fireball. But it was unfortunately out of the strike zone. So what good did it do?
Oh.
Makes
Unfortunately,
contact.
Angela Devecchio is having a good day. She's on fire today.
She is. We'll see if some of that fire goes to her speed. A notoriously slow base runner, but if she can make contact with the ball, that might not matter. As she takes first base.
Yeah, she is fast today. Oh no. Great pitcher and a fast runner today.
Great pitcher and fast runner. Angela Delvecchio might be coming in here with all the tools.
Speaking of all-stars, we have Amir Khan right here, but he's not playing with his brother, looks like.
Amir Khan, notably a better pitcher on a team that doesn't have his brother on it. So we'll see if he can recreate any of the success that he had with the Humongous Hornets. Oh.
Notably, he's playing against Pete Wheeler.
Unfortunately, unfortunately for the Dodgers, they're sending up incredible choppers here. Oh, but it's a double out for the Cubs.
Damn, what's a poor base running decision by that guy.
Exactly, yeah. Yep.
So here's who we have at bat.
Randy Johnson at the pitcher's mound is a villainous choice, I will say.
Yeah. He is having a cold day, though.
He is having a cold day, but... Hold on, let me... Here, hold on while, while Randy Johnson readies up his next pitch, we're taking a look at his stats. It seems that his running is the only thing that's affected, but Randy Johnson, a notoriously slow runner in his own right. But you don't draft him for the running, you draft him for the pitching discipline. So
yeah. Arizona loves Randy Johnson. He's responsible for their World Series.
Arizona loves him so much that they gave him to the LA Dodgers. So
yeah.
No, Alex Gonzalez up to the plate here.
Another strike.
A good pitch there by Randy Johnson.
Oh, he like walks around the mound before he throws his next pitch.
Always cool and collected at the mound is Randy Johnson, and he gets the bunt. And Gonzalez makes it for there, but he gets out anyways. Oh boy.
I know she was on first base. That was Christina Smith, it looks like.
Exactly.
I'm gonna hit a touchdown.
Pete Wheeler is honestly any fielder's worst nightmare. Because he's a blink and you'll miss it runner, even on a bunt. If he can just make contact, then he may be getting on base guaranteed. So
yep, because he's
basically getting on base.
Speed.
He is in fact speed, Zach.
All
right, let's see if the fielders can work with that, and they fumble it, and that's going to be a single for Pete Wheeler.
Just as Smith falls down, another player that's going against Pete Wheeler.
Exactly.
Today.
I don't know if it's a downgrade from the Humongous Hornets, a world championship winning team.
What?
The Juice Man himself. Oh wait, that is Juan Gonzalez. Wait, do they have Juan and Sammy Sosa on this team? That's an insane comp.
He's stealing!
And Pete Wheeler doing what he does best. Stealing bases in the dead of night. I'm gonna hit a bogey in the end zone.
Man, a bunch of former Hornets playing today.
I know, right? I mean, if you pay attention to last season's stats, they were dominated mostly by the Hornets in a lot of cases. And Juan Gonzalez showing why he's on that list as well, sending an absolute belter of a ball to the outfield. And it may not be enough for him as he gets out. But Pete Wheeler able to sneak a run in out from under the noses of the Dodgers.
Good base running decision by Pete Wheeler. So running So run while that ball was high in the air. That could have costly, but wasn't.
Absolutely.
You can strike me out.
Classic Ronnie Dobbs trash talking here to start us out.
Yep.
All right. Ricky Johnson in the outfield.
What to say?
They're getting on. I'm gonna hit a goal in the hoop. That is exactly what it's all about, brother.
Now, forever, Ronnie Dobbs, not exactly the best hitter around.
Not the best hitter, but if the pitcher is not disciplined, then he can easily get a walk if he just pays if he just pays attention.
He doesn't cry about it.
To where it's going, or he could chop it up. A lot of choppers in the first inning of this game, Zach.
Oh,
but Ronnie Dobbs able to get on base regardless.
Got dropped.
Mm-hmm. That'll be a single. Oh.
I'm gonna blast this one.
Raul Mondesi, I believe is how you say it. Lots of pros on this game, Zach. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, he's a grounder, though.
An undergrounder, Zach. Not just any grounder, but an undergrounder.
The undergrounder, it's a double.
That's gonna be a ground rule double.
Yeah, we had quite a few pros. Quite a few pros on this team.
Yeah, quite a few of them. I mean, that's just how stacked this All-Stars game is, Zach. So.
Yeah. Billie Jean Blackwood, the definition of mid.
Of mid.
Right, see her stats. She's the definition of mid.
Absolutely.
Not really great at anything, but not awful at anything as well.
I'll tell you what, Zach. The Cubs are really swinging at a lot of stuff outside the strike zone.
Hey, that's Randy Johnson for you. He is devious.
Absolutely, he has.
Oh, really made it.
I mean, as we said before, he has the best plate discipline probably in the entire league, but it was not enough to stop Ronnie Dobbs from sneaking a run out.
Kimmy
Ekman.
She is so small, holy shit.
So small and so bad in her stats, but can she make something happen here? And she does.
The way she swings that round.
Dude, she has so many frames of animation. What? And Raul defying gravity on his way over there. I'm gonna sink your mousetrap. I'm gonna punt a ruck in the Yorker. And the Cubs start this game on the front foot. Already 2 runs in. And it's the top of the second inning now. Randy Johnson,
unfortunately, Randy Johnson, he's not really a batter.
No, he's not, Zach. But can he make something happen here? Really, in his case, though, I feel like the best thing for him would be to just take the walk. If he can somehow get it, then he should take it.
Look at that. He's not attempting to swing yet.
Nope. Again, we go back to the discipline. Oh, and Randy finally broke his concentration there and unfortunately did not make contact.
Nope. Oh, another ball.
Not a bead of sweat on the forehead of Randy Johnson here. Just trying to eke out a walk here, potentially. Oh, but he makes contact there and it goes foul.
Nope.
Not today.
Well, man, he is tall though.
He is, dude. He is lanky as shit.
Oh boy, it's Ricky.
Ricky Johnson. One of the dark horses of any team he's on, I feel like. We'll see if he can make anything happen here.
Whoa.
Oh.
Now that kind of pitch.
Exactly. I'm gonna collect $200 on Queen Frostine's ice creams.
It's a 1-1.
It's 1-1 count here. She lets it go.
Nope, that's another ball. Oh boy, I think she might be starting to get gas after throwing that heater.
After throwing that fireball that Unfortunately for her, went outside the strike zone. I mean, it's only the top of the second inning. If we're already feeling winded now, it's going to be a long game for this team.
Like,
and Randy Johnson,
he didn't swing once. That's whole at bat.
You gotta love the plate discipline of the LA Dodgers here. Like, they're knowing when to pick their spots in order to try and get a leg up on the Cubs.
Come on, Ashley, gotta do better.
Jocinda Smith, one of the lower performing players on the Hornets, is now up to the plate.
All right, switch out for Ronnie Dobbs.
Already Ashley Weber's going to the bench, or at least going to the outfield. Is being replaced by Ronnie Dobbs.
And no one's covering first base.
No one's covering first base. And the ball...
And you throw it away.
That ball just about went out of play.
Oh boy, this is looking bad already.
And the LA Dodgers potentially in a game-tying situation here. Only one out in this top of the inning. 0 runs.
They're just one swing away from taking the lead.
But with someone like Ronnie Dobbs, a notably better pitcher than either of the Weber sisters on their own, coming up to the plate, you gotta think that this is gonna get a lot harder for... This is gonna get a lot harder for the Dodgers, even harder than it already has been.
To the way he throws the ball. Or receives the ball. Oh!
He literally just lobs it. I don't know... What? Oh...
Oh, that was a mistake. They didn't realize they were both on third.
Really, really, really bad attention to detail there from Ricky Johnson. Completely just allowing Jocinda to come to third base before even starting the trek to home.
We have Vicky Calbucci back to the top of the lineup, I believe.
That might have dashed the team's dreams of getting on the scoreboard in this inning. We'll see.
Dude, the way he like jumps up in the air when he throws the ball. That's crazy.
Ronnie Dobbs showing that size doesn't matter when you're on the mound as long as your pitch is good here.
Oh, it's a strikeout.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Neener.
Ronnie Dobbs catching the strike zone consistently and making sure that no one gets up, or no one gets a run in that inning.
I'm just gonna keep my eye on the ball and knock the cover off of it.
Now we have Steffi Morgan, who definitely wants to be a baseball player when she grows up.
Absolutely.
Like the way, like she is all about that baseball life. Like goes to her home and shit.
She even got that big league chew there, Zach. You ever had big league chew?
No, I haven't, actually.
I always see it coming in, like, little bags and stuff at, like, especially candy stores.
She was fast that time, though.
Yeah, that bubble gum, propelled her to the fucking first base here. Now Ashley Weber, the former pitcher, steps up.
With the Notre Dame theme.
Yeah, with the Notre Dame music there. Go Boilers.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm gonna Uno your Yahtzee. Randy Johnson showing no quarter here at the pitcher's mound.
Way early on that.
Way early on that.
Out.
Ricky.
Yeah.
Immediately she's out. And dude, she doesn't even get the music on the way out. It's just done.
And that, folks, is an example of what happens when the Weber twins aren't together.
Exactly. You get situations like that where you just get kind of someone that's on the lower end of the rung. Now we have a bit of a pro face-off here. It's Alex Gonzalez taking on Randy Johnson here at the mound. And another bunt.
Okay, beat it out.
From Gonzalez here.
They don't have a bunt.
Absolutely.
Oh, speaking of the bunt king, though.
Perhaps no one better at maximizing the potential of the bunt than Pete Wheeler.
Touchdown.
This man is a titan of the industry right here. An absolute asset to anyone that is fortunate enough to have them on, or to have him on their team.
Oh, right by Vicky, right by Vicky.
Yep, able to make it through the shortstop. And it is no good, and they get the double play to close out the inning.
Bad base running decision.
Really bad base running decision from Gonzalez there. But this sets up the Dodgers pretty well for.
Guess I can't help it.
Dude, I get it. I'm trying to do commentary here. Will you please? Dude, they're saying, oh, like they found like a caterpillar in the grass or something.
Yeah.
Like, hey, guys, look over here at this cool bug I found in the grass. And it's like a caterpillar or something. I don't know. That's fun to me. Anyways, a nice start here for the Dodgers here as we finally, as we get someone on base here to start. An undergrounder. The undergrounder's really coming in clutch here in this game as they get a ground rule double here, putting them in the most solid position that they've been in all games so far.
This is not looking good for the Cubs with no outs and runners on second and third.
Exactly.
And on top of that, we have Angelo Delvecchio. Who is full speed today.
She's on fire today, Zach. And that undergrounder.
Another undergrounder.
That might decide the game. It does not, though. It does not.
Oh, pitiful
Jose falling off base there. And Angelo Delvecchio getting really bold there, stealing the triple off of that undergrounder.
We are tied, just like that. I'm going to see how Amir Khan plays when he's not playing with his brother.
It is very interesting because he's a notably different player when he is playing on a team that doesn't include his brother. Because when he's playing with his brother, he almost becomes like a prototypical version of him. But when he's not, he kind of adopts a more supportive role.
Yeah, ooh, you should not be a bunter, though.
No, he should not. I would honestly not have bunted there.
Yeah, you're not very fast. And we have a long boy right here, Randy Johnson.
The long boy himself, Randy Johnson. Immediately missing at the mound. Right there.
Also, I tell you, should probably try the swing, because you're not very good at the whole... Yeah, because even a slow one like that, he swung way too late.
Hey, Randy Johnson might be going for the sacrificial out here.
It's Robbie Johnson's not wrong about that. It's good for a little guy.
Hopefully, Ricky Johnson, unfortunately, statistically not the best follow-up after Randy Johnson. But much like Pete Wheeler, he can run real good. So we'll see if he can pull that in here at this next hit.
Oh.
And there we go, and Angela takes off running, and the Dodgers take the lead. It is now a 3-2 game in favor of the LA Dodgers.
He apparently does not have a very good arm.
An infamously bad fielder is Pete Wheeler. Despite what his statistics may tell you, Pete Wheeler is actually kind of dog doo-doo in the field. So
there's a reason he had the most errors on the Hornets team last season.
Absolutely. He can friggin' deliver on the plate. But when it comes to fielding, he can honestly be a bit of a liability.
But then you have Sammy Morgan right there who just throws a dart.
Yeah, he just throws a friggin' dart over there to Billie Jean Blackwood. And she just brings this inning to an end. It's 3-2 as we go into the bottom of the third. And who better to start it than former Hornets orange slice enjoyer, Juan Gonzalez.
Who can hit nukes.
He can hit nukes on the best of days, Zach. Although that was not. That was a foul ball.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that right there hit the catcher.
Yeah. well, yeah, that was so high. He found that so high up. I don't think it hit the catcher. It hit a car, probably.
Yeah, that probably hit someone's car in the parking lot. Has Randy Johnson showing more of that plate discipline here, given some really, like, seemingly close to, you know, the box pitches here. Here we are. Got a curveball here, and he strikes Juan Gonzalez out.
So this is what it looks like when we don't have the pitch indicator.
I mean, as we said, even on a cold day, Randy Johnson, an absolute... I mean, pardon my language,
Fool me
but
once,
a fucking
shame
tyrant
on
on
you.
the mound.
Fool me twice, didgeridoo.
But let's see if Ronnie Dobbs has plate discipline.
Yeah, we'll see.
He already got a hit today, so let's see if he can do another one.
Let's see here. Oh, and belts it. Belts it directly to the shortstop, and Vicky Kawaguchi drops it. But it doesn't matter.
Slow.
Unfortunately, those little limbs
I'm gonna blast this one.
of...
Dude, wait, well, that's the same VA as Juan Gonzalez.
I was about to say, yeah, that right there is the same VA.
It's still action.
Ricky Johnson, ever the most humble man on the team, and he just flies that directly at Randy Johnson. He is the king of the mound, Zach.
Yeah, he sure is.
The absolute king of this.
They gotta make Randy Johnson work if they want him out of there.
Exactly. They need to make him work. They need to be making sure that their swings make contact. Otherwise, he could probably play this whole game and not get tired with it.
Yeah, he's gonna pull a Kenny Kawaguchi.
Kenny Kawaguchi famously not really being switched out of the pitcher's mound for the entirety of the World Series. So, some might say he's the linchpin of the Hornets' success last season, but nowhere to be found on this rotation.
Nope. He's just watching the crowd this time around. Well, that's a strike.
I mean, at this point, I would be scouting, competition like how Kenny is doing right now. As his sister continues to not swing at the ball.
She's more... man, she has more to think about real lessons out of that.
Absolutely.
Kenny Loffman, who's 2 for 2 today.
Nice.
Damn, he's
he hits
fast.
a grounder. Yeah, he is fast, but, evidently not fast enough. As Ronnie Dobbs throws it over to first and closes out the inning here.
Yep. Can the Cubs get a run?
I was about to say, as we approach the second half of this game, both teams are going to start feeling pressure here.
Ooh. Try to freak her out.
But Billie Jean Blackwood showing that she will not be intimidated by Randy Johnson. And smacks it towards the center. Randy Johnson not being able to pick it up. No one's covering first as Billie Jean Blackwood. Oh, and she makes a run for second base. Oh, but she flew too close to the sun. She flew too close to the sun, but she's able to make it back first. Zach, that was almost disastrous there.
Yeah, I can't badly.
That was almost disastrous there for Billie Jean Blackwood.
Now here at Kimmy, who has a very funny looking swing because she's not a very good batter.
She's very small, but that's from all the candy that she eats, Zach. So She has yet to hit the growth spurt because she spends all of the time eating candy.
She also likes to talk really fast.
Actually, that is Gretchen Hasselhoff, Zach.
Oh, that's Gretchen, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. She steals.
And
she saved.
Successfully, by a hair, able to steal second base. And the pitch here from Randy. A big old fastball there. And Kimmy whiffs it.
The way she swings at that ball.
I know, it's so good.
Swing frames to that.
Not a lot of discipline here on the part of Kimmy Ekman. But she is keeping her cool against Randy Johnson. So, so it is commendable. But here we are. A curveball here.
Oh, she got fooled by it.
Deep breath. Calm down, Kimmy. Next time I'll show ya.
And Stephanie Morgan, the catcher, up to the plate now.
Yep, she knows how to make contact.
She does. If nothing else, you can give her that. It's all the gum that she chews, increases her focus. And she makes contact there with the ball.
And once again,
no one is covering the base. But no one was covering third base either.
Nope. I'll say it's about the Dodgers that they don't know how to cover their bases.
No, they don't. That's really been their big weakness here in the first half of this game.
Now, actually, I gotta tell you, I don't have much faith in you, but who knows? Maybe you can prove me wrong, but not with swings like that.
Really, the best thing that Weber can hope for is to just get on base.
Yep.
Even if it means taking a walk. Like that.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Honestly, not the
trick.
Brilliant. That right there was the distraction play there.
That was a Hornets move right there.
Taking a page out of the stuff playbook are Blackwood and Morgan here. As Morgan asserts dominance at second base with an incredible A pose.
Oh yeah, the A pose right there. Look at her. Look at that stance.
Yeah. You got to give the Cubs credit here. They are showing a lot of resilience against a phenomenal pitcher in Randy Johnson. So
they're doing small ball right now.
Yeah, they're doing small ball.
Oh, that was a dot right there.
Ashley Weber continuing to show that she may be the weak link in this team. Alex Gonzalez back up to the plate now. Looking to bring someone home and tie this game up. The Venezuelan superstar, keeping it cool. Elevator ball, and he bunts it again. It's a very interesting choice to be bunting all these balls. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't matter.
Oh, Dan barely beat that out to third. Shame.
But they still got the specialty hit. There's still quite a bit of baseball left in this game here, as Jose Canseco is back up to plate.
Yeah, now they're entering the second half of the game.
Now we're in the second half here, roundabout. Hold on.
Yeah, that was way high up.
It was really high up, yeah. Throwing in there. It's outside the zone again.
Thankfully, Ryan Dobbs has picked up Weber's slack. Where she is taken out.
Absolutely. Ronnie has been a really good substitution here. He's been throwing it all in. He's been throwing a lot of mix-up pitches here. A really good response to Randy Johnson. So.
Yeah, picture now right now.
Oh.
Whoa! Oh, not in the zone though.
Yeah, I think Ronnie was hoping that would be in the zone, that would really just kind of set the tone for this inning. But that may have really, that might really come back to bite him here shortly, because now he's throwing a lot of stuff outside the zone. Jose keeping this alive with a foul ball.
You might need the juice.
He might need the juice here soon. He might need to talk to Sammy Sosa about that. So.
And he's fouling off.
He's fouling off. Jose being a real thorn in Ronnie Dobbs' side as he's just trying to get him out, and he finally does.
After a long battle.
A really long at-bat. But the worst is here. Just play the metal pipe sound effect.
Yeah.
Strike one there for Angelo Delvecchio. Angelo Delvecchio is a real powerhouse of a player. A really well-rounded one, especially on a good day. And that right there is why she belts it to the outfield. It's going to hit the screen.
No!
But Ashley Weber with her first good play of the day as she has the wherewithal to catch it.
Yep. Wow, I thought it was going to hit the screen, but no, it was just up to the warning track.
I thought so too, Zach. I mean, the screen was glitching preemptively. Our tech guy was all over the buttons there waiting for it to happen.
Yeah. But Camille get a hit. Oh, maybe, perhaps.
He hits it.
Oh.
That might be a real boon there for the Dodgers as they get a power-up hit right here.
No. Oh,
a fantastic eye. I mean, out of all the people on this team, Randy Johnson would probably need a power-up hit more than most players. So,
yeah, you might need the screen line drive or the undergrounder.
it's like if he can just make contact with this ball.
Oh, it's crazy!
It's the crazy bunt. Let's see how crazy it is, Zach. Oh,
that's pretty crazy, all right.
I mean, that was moderately crazy. I've seen crazier bunts, but it was enough to get Randy Johnson on base, and that's more than he can say for himself, you know, for the rest of this game.
It's pretty crazy by Randy Johnson standards.
It is. And Ricky Johnson might be looking to follow it up with a crazy bunt of his own. Let's see here. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That is absolutely crazy.
The Johnsons on the same wavelength here as Amir Khan makes it home.
Oh,
hello. Hello. A bit of malfunction at the junction.
Wow,
here.
what a dart that was. Oh, he's so
and
slow,
Randy
though.
Johnson got greedy, but Amir Khan still scores anyways.
Now leading by 2.
And the deficit for the Cubs only gets stronger here as we go into the bottom of the 5th here. 4-2.
Pete
Wheeler looking to mount some kind of comeback for his team.
What am I supposed to do again?
Run.
I mean, I talked to Pete in the bag, Zach, and he constantly told me how he was going to get a home run and a hole-in-one in tonight's game, both in a row.
Oh, that's fair. Are you sure he wasn't constantly telling you that he was going to get a touchdown?
Now, unfortunately for him, he's not going to get either of those two things, but he is going to get a double.
Yep.
So
the way he slides on his back.
Yeah, I know.
Juan Gonzalez.
On a one-way trip to Cooperstown.
I mean, at this point, all Juan needs to do is not blow out his bag. If he can just hit this ball, if he can smack it to the outfield just like he did, that right there would put Pete Wheeler in scoring position.
Oh, drop it. Let's go back a second, but he makes it.
Man, yeah. Juan Gonzalez is out, but Pete Wheeler's still in the fight here at second base.
Neener, you can't strike me out.
We'll see about that, Ronnie.
Ronnie Dobbs already maybe getting in over his head, even though he's... Oh, hey!
Oh, it's crazy, though.
Dude, it's so insane. Look at that. I mean, like... actually, no,
okay,
I've seen crazier, but...
I see way crazier, but now they're only down by 1.
It was enough to get...
He's getting greedy.
And Ronnie Dobbs maybe getting greedy here.
He's so slow.
But he's...
Got greedy.
Neener, you got a skinny wiener. That shit's flaccid, brother.
action or something.
There's your ESPN moment right there, you sons of bitches.
Oh, speaking of ESPN moments,
Raul belting it to the other end, and he's still out.
Still out.
The outfield game throughout both of these teams is something to behold, Zach. We've gotten a lot of great hits in this game, and almost every time, the outfield has been all over it. And now we're right back where we started at the top of the 5th with the top of the 6th. 4-3.
Strike. Right now, so pitching effectively.
Absolutely.
That's right, what just happened? Oh!
If I were Ronnie Dobbs, I would.
At him.
Oh,
Billy Jean.
Oh!
Okay.
Fast enough to get Jacinda out here.
Tony Gwynn, who's not having a good day.
So, Zach, if you were Ronnie Dobbs in this situation, where your team is currently down by 1 at the top of the 6, I mean, what are you thinking? You know? Because if I were in his position, I would want to get out of this top of the inning as quick as possible.
Well, for starters, I would try to communicate with my teammates better about covering first at their base.
You know, I agree with you there.
Second of all, I would just keep trying to pound the zone. Keep trying to throw strikes. Don't fuck around. Don't give him a chance.
Exactly. That's a really good point, partner. You want to make sure that you're being efficient more than anything else at this critical stage in the game.
Exactly. Oh, will someone catch this?
Will someone catch the ball? And they do!
Yeah.
And it
they throw it away. Dude, Billie Jean just keeps falling flat on her face.
And Gonzalez, Alex Gonzalez, looking to make a run for the cars, but unfortunately for him, this game is not over yet. He has to stay right here.
He already wants to go home.
He already wants to go home. He has no faith in his team.
Treating his team like the Bad News Bears.
I'll tell you, the Cubs need to have a pep talk with this guy if he wants to make it through the rest of this game.
Now, I'm also Ronnie Dobbs. I might want to have some juice, a spare juice on me, because I might be tired out by this point.
You don't think that Ronnie Dobbs has the stamina to make it through this inning? Because he did.
He did.
Although you do have a point. I mean, we are approaching the 7th inning, and it's a little hard to believe that little Ronnie Dobbs can stay on the mound.
Especially over 50 pitches in.
Yeah, especially when we're 50 pitches in. Randy Johnson himself 50 in. But he's been a lot more efficient than the Cubs. Ronnie has been on the mound ever since the middle of the 2nd inning. Meanwhile, Randy has been here ever since the first pitch. So...
Yep. He's a devil on the mound.
Absolutely. Great conditioning, great stamina, and great mound discipline are the names of Randy Johnson's game. He can play the long boy, that's why...
Hello, Mario.
Whether he can play the long game, that's why he's called the long boy.
Hell yeah.
That's why he's the longest boy of baseball.
He will be an LBC member.
Exactly. He's the official pitcher of the LBC, and it's easy to see why. He's really good at it, and he's long while he does it, too.
Meanwhile, Billie Jean Blackwood is trying to be really patient. He hasn't swung that bat yet.
No beat of sweat on Blackwood at any time that she's been at the plate for this whole game, Zach. She is keeping her composure.
This has got to be the game plan when it comes to Randy Johnson. You got to make that pitch count go up. Make him get tired, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, doesn't try that happens, but unfortunately, Chili Bean is not the fastest
just about to make it.
Yeah.
Also, hi there, Shoujo.
Now, can Kimmy Eggman hit the ball? I should find out.
We'll see. Because her wild swing makes it a little tough to judge the actual potential of the swing.
Barely a foul.
She belts it, but it goes foul anyways. Ricky. It's a little hard to tell whether Ricky Johnson's saying that about the Cubs or his own team, the Dodgers. But
it's about to confuse everyone involved.
It's about to confuse. He's over here playing the mind games. A landmark hit for Kimi Ekman as she makes it on base.
Oh, she actually got the hit.
Probably one of the biggest underdogs in this whole game, and she has the wherewithal to make it on base.
And doing that allows Stephanie Morgan to get a hit.
Mm-hmm. This leaves her wide open to potentially get Ekman to second. I mean, drafting someone like Kimi Ekman is a bit of a choice. Like, you gotta have a strategy in play. If you're gonna use someone like her, you're gonna need a strategy with the rest of your teammates. Or you could also have... whoa!
Whoa! A ground rule double. That was a pretty crazy bunt right there.
Zach, that ball wasn't just crazy. It was clinically insane. That ball is gone. And it's a ground rule double for the Cubs.
Oh no. Oh, Ashley Weber does it. You know, Kimmy was able to do something. Maybe there is hope for Ashley.
There may be, Zach, and she did have that big, catch earlier, far into the center of the field, and she did. How's that to say? If I were Kimmy, I would be capitalizing on this immediately. You don't get good hits from really either of the Weber twins very often unless they're on the same team, and just like that, the Cubs have taken the lead. And Ashley Weber's on third. She's on triple. That bunt was so crazy, it got her on triple.
She was able to do something about her sister. I'm proud of you, Ashley. If she does nothing else throughout the whole game, that's going to be her moment.
Alex Gonzalez notably needing to have parental lock put on his car so that he doesn't leave is back at the home plate here.
Oh, Randy Johnson's actually out.
After 6 innings, Randy Johnson finally taken off the mound, replaced with Amir Khan.
But I say this was replaced by also a really good pitcher when his brother isn't playing.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, he's throwing balls right now, though.
Yeah, he's throwing absolute meatballs at Alex Gonzalez here.
But no, just like that, another thing I say is Ashley is responsible for the Cubs taking the lead.
I was about to say, like, we were pooping all over her at the start of this game, and she is the difference maker here, right at the bottom of the 6th. But now, speaking of difference maker, here comes Pete Wheeler.
He's 3 for 3 today. Can you continue that streak?
Show me why he was one of the MVPs on the Humongous Hornets.
Ooh, what great plate discipline right there by Pete.
Using that,
at that.
Exactly. Using that incredible experience to his advantage here and bringing that to the Cubs.
Yeah, barely a strike. Hello.
Amir Khan throwing a lot of balls here in the early goings of his time at the mound.
He's trying to nibble the corner, as it were.
He's trying to nibble the corner. And maybe this is the strategy here. Because you gotta think, if you're someone like Pete Wheeler, see like that, any like hit that you get, it's just an immediate on base, and right there, like you just got the double there, and he's probably gonna get the triple too. Holy shit!
With how ridiculous Hogan's lies became, is it possible that years of headshots had affected Hogan's cognitive memory, making it difficult to distinguish actual
see the
true
way
events?
He ran to second. He doesn't have to go in the outfield the way he was running.
I mean, Dan, that delves into some serious stuff I don't really want to talk about at the moment. Right, Ronnie Dobbs at the plate now. Again. Wait, hold on.
Was that good? Let's get crazy!
Yeah,
because like
crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh boy.
The bringer rings right here. Bro, even if Amir Khan isn't doing too hot, they still have another great pitch right here, Angel DeVecchio, in case of emergency.
I was about to say, I'm surprised they went with someone like an Amir Khan, especially with how many balls he's throwing in the early going. But Angelo DelVecchio just feeding it to the outfield there.
Yeah.
As she gets the immediate out for her team. Alright.
Nope.
You can't hit a touchdown.
Hey, batter.
Oh no, I think that Hogan's lies became more ridiculous just because he got like older and he got scared of his relevance. So because like he didn't really take any crazy bumps during his run, you know, during his initial run or even his like Attitude Era run. Rather like Ruthless Aggression Era run, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
He barely took anything to the head. So no, I don't really think it's like any real consequence with wrestling. I just think it's a combination of ego and age. So, yeah. Anyways, Randy Johnson up here trying to make something happen for his team. Belts it over the field line and it goes foul.
Bro, I Randy Johnson's able to hit a home run.
I mean, he had me believing there for like a second, but then it went past the foul line. So, and another one past the foul line.
No, when it comes to Hogan and chair shots, I just think of the way Hogan would always swing that chair. It's the most.
It would just be like a gingerly tap in all things. In most cases, all things considered, it would be like a gingerly tap. So.
If anything, at least he wasn't deliberately trying to make his opponents concussed.
Exactly. Giving a free double play to the Chicago Cubs right there as we go to the bottom of the 7th here.
Yeah, because things looked scary there for a moment.
They did look pretty scary. This has not been a very high-scoring game, Zach. I will give both teams that. Both teams defensively have been pretty on point. So. We will be cutting to our DraftKings Sportsbook sponsored ad break here in just a second.
Oh, but that ball is out of here.
That's gone. The gulf between the Cubs and the LA Dodgers grows even further with 7 runs on the day for the Cubbies.
Reminder why Juan Gonzalez was a home run hitter on the Hornets.
Absolutely. Not as big of a home run hitter as some of the other players, but he was a solid hand on the team. And showing why he's still a solid hand on the Cubs. Alright. And you know, with a fucking home run like that, I think it's a pretty good time for us to go to our DraftKings Sportsbook Taco Bell Gordita Crunch sponsored ad break here.
Man, I can't believe I won the over.
It's break time. Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
You've seen the Pillow Pets.
Oh boy, the Pillow Pets sequel, brother.
Pillow Pets are cute, huggable pets that pop open into full-size pillows.
I want one of these very bad.
And they make perfect pillows.
In my old age.
Dude, I would totally get the Apple one. So
cozy.
I would get one of like the normal ones too.
But now there's even more Pillow Pets. There's a new T-Rex
I would get the
dinosaur,
koala.
a Triceratops, a pterodactyl, a dragon, an elephant.
That dragon looks so
koala bear,
derpy.
a
I love it.
ladybug, and a lot
I know,
more.
right?
Go online to see all the new Pillow Pets at www.pillowpets.com.
Enjoy the Pillow Pets,
Grandmas,
brother.
If you don't think your Kids will
I paid
love
good money
Pillow
for a
Pets.
Godzilla
Then
pillow pet.
watch
Yo,
this.
imagine.
Okay, go ahead and open up the package.
I mean, the T-Rex one was basically a Godzilla one. Rather, the dinosaur one was basically Godzilla. So. Aww. That's Turtle.
Turtle.
Kids love their Pillow Pets. Go online to see
That
all
warms
the
my heart,
new
though.
Pillow Pets. The new Pillow Pets are
The soft
only
cackles of
available
my heart.
online. Pillow Pets are soft, they're cuddly, and they make kids
This
happy.
this
Kids
fills
love to
my
collect
this
Pillow
fills my
Pets,
black
too.
heart.
How many
so
Pillow
sweet.
Pets
Exactly.
do you have? See all the new Pillow Pets
I have 0
at
Pillow Pets because I never got one.
www.pillowpets.com. That's www.pillowpets.com. Start collecting your Pillow
Well,
Pets
also because they're
today.
fucking expensive.
They are pretty expensive. That pterodactyl one is crazy. I gotta be honest. Which LMP character do you think would make the best Pillow Pet? Pinkie Pie.
Hell yeah.
I don't think that's even a question, brother. Either Pinkie Pie or Fluttershy would be the best one.
Yeah, I honestly look at it. We're talking about Rover, so my first thought was Fluttershy.
I mean, like, listen, Pinkie Pie is the one that would want to be a Pillow Pet the most. So.
Dude, she'd be like, look at me, guys. I'm a Pillow Pet.
well, also because, you know, she's also a very huggy person, too. So.
She loves to hug all her friends.
Yeah, exactly.
She's a hugger, like Old Bailey.
yeah, exactly like Old Bailey, in fact. But no, I think the best one would probably be Pinkie Pie.
Om nom nom. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
I would also say Rainbow Dash just because she's also like, you know, like alongside Pinkie all over any merch. But I don't know.
Hello,
when
Mario.
I look at are you having a good day?
Yeah, I say we are.
Yes, yeah, we are, Soul. We're over here playing the All-Star game. The final game that we're playing for Backyard Baseball 2001. It is a spectators game, and we're commenting over the Chicago Cubs and the LA Dodgers. So yeah.
We can't say it's a true All-Star game, though, because Paulo Sanchez isn't in it.
You know what? Yeah. Yeah. Where is Pablo Sanchez? We got Pete Wheeler in this shit, but not Pablo Sanchez. Idea, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man Pillow Pet. I would like that. That sounds good.
What I was gonna say was, if Hasbro were smart to do a collaboration of Pillow Pets, they would just have the main 6 at once for them.
I was about to say, I would just make one of like each of the main 6, frankly.
Yeah.
The Wonder Kid. The hell? Damn, we fucked. What?
What?
Sorry, I'm trying to read Shoujo's message and it's messing with my brain.
The Wonder Kid's Pablo isn't here. Damn, we fucked.
Are you going to buy any expensive MLP Magic cards coming out? Absolutely not. What do you think I am, a fucking rube? Because really, I'm only a rube if it's Sonic stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And as
Now,
luck would have it, there's
Sonic.
also Magic Sonic stuff. There's like Sonic Magic the Gathering cards. I don't know shit about Magic the Gathering. I don't know how to play it. I don't know any of the lore, but I'm very simple. Okay. I see Sonic thing. I like Sonic thing.
Now, what if Magic the Gathering had George Wood on it? Just like back in the day.
I'd buy like 50, and and from that point it would have 51 sales, lifetime sales. Dungeons and Dragons Pillow Pets. You know what? I'm pretty sure that they've, I'm pretty sure that they thought about that. I don't know if it's a thing right now, but I'm sure that it's been like talked about.
Hello, Mario. Dragons. Alright, in that case, when's our Baldur's Gate 3 Pillow Pets?
We got one of Karlak.
you hear?
Who the fuck? No, I know who I would make into a pillow pet.
Who?
I would make the two camp pets into pillow pets. There's Scratch the dog, who you might have seen. He's like a white dog. And then there's the owlbear cub that you can save in a side quest. So, honestly, I think the owlbear cub would make a better pillow pet. You know, just because it would be more, you know, unique and, you know, more its own thing. Scratch, the first abstraction? My brother, Scratch is not an abstraction. That dog is real, brother.
Oh, wow, they almost ran into each other.
They almost ran into each other, but, you know, that was a real meeting at the minds situation there because they were able to catch the ball. It was a TADC. Oh, I would not have gotten that. I've not seen The Amazing Digital Circus. Sorry. Also, hi, Teddy. How you doing tonight?
No, we just want to be like, I guess, realistic over here. The point of pillow pets is sell these pillow pets to, like, kids, so what have you. Why the fuck would you have, like, Baldur's Gate 3 characters as, like, pillow pets?
well, Zach, to that same point, they're Five Nights at Freddy's pillow pets.
True. No, I completely forgot about that. I locked that from my brain.
Yeah, they're Five Nights at Freddy's pillow pets, and I would say that Five Nights at Freddy's is ostensibly an adult franchise that, you know, that is very popular with kids. So
yeah, I was saying, bro, it's so funny. It's a horror franchise, but yet was stupidly popular with kids when it came out.
What's like the name of the jester character in The Amazing Digital Circus?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Pomni. Like okay.
Pomni.
Dude, I would buy a Pomni pillow pet.
Yeah.
I think Pomni is like, you know, a cute enough mascot for the series to, you know, kind of make a pillow pet about her. So.
Watch out, here comes.
When are we gonna have a Sans Undertale?
Only things I've heard about The Amazing Digital Circus is they're ending it in June, and the voice actors are problematic for various reasons. Well...
okay.
Well, that stinks. Well, nonetheless, I hope that people who are invested in it enjoy the finale. So...
This is the first time hearing them being that. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute! She might!
Oh,
No!
that could have been epic, but it wasn't.
Wasn't?
Dude, that would have been epic. That would have been like a home run from objectively the worst character in this game.
Okay, I'm just gonna
So,
keep my eye on the ball and knock the cover
I
off.
saw day one, and then scalpers would sell them back for 3 times the price. You know what? Maybe I'm just culturally ignorant. Is The Amazing Digital Circus really that popular? I mean, I see it in Hot Topics, so the answer is almost definitely yes. But
yes, it's very, 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 very popular. I see it all the fucking time.
Very. I mean, you know, that probably was a bad question. I mean, I've seen The Amazing Digital Circus stuff being sold at Walmart when I worked there. So,
dude, I actually can't escape it. I see it all the time.
Maybe I should watch it at some point.
Apparently it's huge. I don't know anything about. Yeah. That's me.
I'm in the same boat. I do not know shit about it other than there is a jester character in there, and she always looked like that she's on the verge of breaking down.
Yeah.
So.
But she also looks kind of cute as well.
Yes. And also, there's a man with giant teeth for a face. So.
Yeah, him. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I just stay in my card game lane. It's popular enough to the point where there have been fires about how the final episode is being released 2 weeks before it's released on YouTube. I've seen fires, or like, I've kind of seen those, but like, I don't think I'm plugged in enough to quote the discourse to really have much of a strong opinion on it. So all I'll say is, you know, I hope that people like the finale regardless of when they see it. So.
The Cubs tacked on, I believe.
Yeah, the Cubs. I mean, the Cubs are up by 2 times at this point.
And while I was looking away, I actually got on base again.
You'd be on the verge of breaking down too if you were trapped in a digital landscape with no memory of your name and no way of going home. Shoujo, when I had only seen up to episode 2 for a while, lol. I mean, I'm kind of like that with my Sonic comics right now, so.
Oh yeah, how's that been going on for you, the Sonic comics?
Well, I need money to buy more, so.
Damn.
I need money to buy more, and you know, that doesn't grow on trees.
I take it you've already read all the issues from your trades.
Yeah, I've read all the issues from my trades already.
Oh, Ashley scored. She's gonna score.
Dude.
That's 9-4.
Dude.
Look, about to be 10.
11.
Oh, Pete's be greedy. She goes.
Oh, but Pete stays right where he is.
Damn, now this is turning into a mollywhopping.
Yeah, this is turning into a real smackdown on the Dodgers here.
Cooperstown.
I got to deal with Juan Gonzalez.
We have Juan Gonzalez here. Potentially his last time up to bat.
Things were going downhill for the Dodgers ever since they took out Randy Johnson.
Fun fact, the guy who voices a character named Noob Saibot, or rather who voices a character named Kinger in the Amazing Digital Circus, also voices Noob Saibot in Mortal Kombat 11. Ooh. It's a real slobber knocker for the Hornets, JR. This isn't even the Hornets, it's the Cubs. So.
Yeah. Look at them Cubbies.
Look at my Cubbies winning.
You can't strike me out.
Just like in real life. Dude.
Ooh,
dude, this Cubs team is elevating themselves. They are raising their own ceiling at the bottom of the 8th here. Yeah, needless to say, the Dodgers are going to need a miracle if they want to have a fighting chance here.
Oh, they're bringing the big guns now.
Oh, no. I mean, at this point, I would also do that, too. Because if you want a chance to catch back up, you're going to need miracle work in the top of the 9th. So you need to get out of this inning as fast as possible. Nice.
Oh, wow.
Nice work there from Angela Delvecchio.
Yep.
Concerned people for me catching up and watch the remaining episodes. Did you watch, the episodes with Lumi? Or no?
First we have Vicky Kawaguchi.
Also, hold on. Chat is a little broken. Give me just a second. We're stopping mid-pitch.
So hold on, Vicky.
GirafaStev, yep, and a few other people. Nice.
Oh. Will the Dodgers be able to come back? I don't think so, but we'll find out.
Hey, Vicky Kawaguchi playing it cool here at the plate so far.
Ryan Dobbs is 74 pitches in. This is a long outing for him.
74 pitches in, but he's finally getting some relief here with Billie Jean Blackwood.
Who is
This is crazy pitch. This is crazy pitch posture here from Billie Jean Blackwood.
Look at that.
The animation looks rotoscoped. Look at that.
Yeah.
The animation there looks like some Smiling Friends rotoscoping.
Like I said, Billie Jean Blackwood, not great anything, but not terrible at anything. I think that goes for pitching as well. But I say that she strikes Vicky out.
She strikes Vicky out. And now, it's Kenny Lofton's turn to try and just make something happen here. Anything for the LA Dodgers.
That's right.
Yep, and a few other people. Nice. I hope you, Looney, and the rest are doing well, Shoujo, by the way.
Yeah.
Kenny, by God, Lofton! Weak? Weak! I mean, dude, that was pretty weak, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. Damn, Billie Jean Blackwood's just holding this down right now.
Yeah, Billie Jean Blackwood really putting belt to ass here at the top of the ninth. If the Dodgers don't make something happen here, it's curtains.
No wonder Marquis likes her. Oh!
That's, dude.
Oh, no one's covering first, though!
Hey, no one's covering first. Or
Oh,
wow.
That's bad.
What a play there from Jose. Baiting the Cubs into throwing the ball out of play and send up something for her. Angela Del Vecchio. But no, there's like a lot of things I want. Wow. A real belter to the outfield. That may be out.
No.
No.
Oh, dropped it.
Oh, it's done.
She's out. That's the end of the game. So the Cubs win 11-5.
11-5 in favor of the Cubs, and that's the All-Star game in the books. The Chicago Cubs 11 to the LA Dodgers 5. What a fucking game. The Cubs really dominating there at, towards the end of it, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
And going home as the well-deserved winners. Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Where's Pablo Sanchez?
Yeah, it really showed. It was shaky there
Remember,
in the first half.
assuming makes an ass out of you and Ming.
But they were able to pull something together in the second half.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. I think that this has been a good way to close out our journey here with this game, honestly. Mm-hmm. If only I could make the team based on... Wait, hold on. Can I like, make my own team here, or no? And move to the team selection screen. No, but we need to face the Dodgers again. Enough baseball. Time for 6 hours of ads for the Hulk Hogan documentary. Dude, kill me, actually.
I'd rather get evicted.
But speaking of ads... Stev, you have truly shown us that your balls are truly based. I try my very best. Can you pray for me so that none of the moon demons come down and kill me? Because, listen, I may have based balls, but I don't know how much they care about that. So...
It's Hulk Hogan, one of the moon demons.
It's break time. Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
Attention parents and grandparents
of young
children. Gerber Life is
I'll pray that your moon demons don't go after your balls.
The grow-up plan gives your child $10,000 in whole life insurance protection now, then doubles automatically to $20,000 later.
Dude, Gerber Life?
Free information will be sent to parents and grandparents who call now. Help give your child a head start for just pennies a day. Don't wait. Call now for free information.
Call 1-800-829-8866. Call now.
I love these commercial compilations where we get like a brief glimpse of another random commercial before the next real commercial starts playing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and look, are you a Cinnamon Toast Crunch Mark?
Massive, Zach. Yeah, you.
Hell yeah, I am.
I mean, I got a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch over there right now, actually. I will say that's a shame that the Cinnamon Toast Crunch man is no longer there. It's just... they fired him. They fucking garnished his wages and now he's looking for new work.
Soak your chia, spread the seeds, and watch it grow. And now
oh shit, Garfield and
box. A mini chia cuddly or a chia alarm clock.
I like that chia, like, little plush guy that, you know, that it comes with.
Oh yeah, I see that, yeah.
I like it more than the alarm clock, if anything. Infinite replaced the music in this commercial because the original got claimed.
Bro, this is like a fucking wild commercial though.
Dude, there's so much puritanical bullshit going on with like censorship of like, you know, NSFW creators and stuff. But meanwhile, we just allowed this on national television. You know?
Yeah.
We allowed...
Yeah, we just allowed this to happen.
Like, we allowed literal ass eating on television. Big fucking brown chocolate ass eating on national television and dipping a strawberry in someone's belly button. Like, get out of here, man. Get out of here. If this is fine...
Remember, children could see this.
Yeah, I was about to say, children can see this too. What are you doing? Dude, if this is fine, then then my crack ship is also fine. I'm sorry that you don't get to fucking decide that now. I get to decide that. I am the decider of what we'll see and what we won't see.
Nom nom. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dude.
Ships are fine.
The Carl's Jr. ads that were literal softcore porn are crazy. I vaguely remember what you're talking about, honestly.
Oh boy, and where we might need to add that to the rotation.
I don't know if I need to add that to the rotation. I don't know if I need to add that to the rotation. That feels like a that feels like asking for trouble. But I mean, I could look at it and see you know, how risky it is. But yeah. Cool. Chat, I think we're done with this game. I'll be honest, at this point, I don't really know what to do now that this is done. I mean,
like a part of you is just gone now.
I mean, part of me wants to go into another baseball game. Maybe Mario Superstar Baseball.
Oh!
But yeah. We could do another sport entirely. We could start playing the Def Jam games as well. I've been wanting to play the Def Jam games for years at this point, and I've never done it. So... So really it's a dealer's choice, and I'll think about that a little bit more over the next couple days. But yeah, this has been incredibly fun, y'all. I'm really, really, really glad that I got to share this with all of you and kind of pop my baseball cherry, so to say, with this game. Yeah, I will be playing both of the Def Jam games, Vendetta and Fight for New York. My only concern with those games is that, you know, literally the selling point of it is, you know, like, you know, sorry, you know, the artists on, you know, the record label that the game is based on. And I can almost guarantee you that there's going to be licensed music up the wazoo. So.
It's gonna be the Brew Legend problem.
Exactly. Like, I'm not going to be able to play it, you know? Gotta play the PSP port of Fight for New York, since that has a completely different storyline and exclusive levels. Did you ever play a game where you use the robot guy? The robot guy.
In this game, Backyard Baseball.
Oh, the pitcher robot.
Yeah, the umpire robot.
I think we
like
briefly tried it.
Yeah.
Hold on, where is he? Where's my absolutely perfect pitcher bot?
Yeah, you can use them a custom match. Yeah.
Hold on. I don't think he's unlocked. Give me a second. There we go.
Hey.
Now he should be unlocked. There we go. That's fine. The phone box. You can use them in a custom match. Yeah, but you can't. You can turn off the music in both of the Def Jam games. Yeah, but won't the game just be like silent at that point?
There he is. Look at him.
There he is. Look at his crazy stats. The leading sports robot of the new millennium. Mr. Clanky does everything you could ask from a mechanical mascot. He can hit. He can field. You can even make popcorn in his tummy. Batteries not included. Microwave tummy sold separately.
I love that. Look, he has a birthday when he was made.
Like when he was assembled. That's great. Oh, and he has his own like sad noises for when you don't select him.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, both have crowd noise, and Fight for New York at least has commentary.
Okay. This is something you're gonna have to ask Nelson about, since he is very knowledgeable about those games.
Oh, believe me, brother, I know. I know all about his knowledge.
So you could say about the PSP, like GameCube version, what have you.
I mean, I'm fine with playing those versions. I just need to make sure that, you know, it's not gonna nuke my fucking channel into orbit. So, because that's not fun for anybody. It's not fun for me, because, well, I'm trying to do something here, and I would like to get to 1,000 followers this year, and, well, you know, getting your channel nuked isn't really a good way to do that.
Go from 1,000 to 0.
Go from 1K to 0K. To 0K, 000, 0 and 0 single.
0 bitches.
I have no bitches. If you ever want to play a hockey or football game, play the Mutant League ones for the Genesis. Mutant League? For the Sega Genesis? Hold on. Mutant League. Here, Mutant Football League. Oh, goodness. I'm looking at this. This is, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's always crazy seeing, like, these primordial versions of sports games. Because, like, I'm not used to seeing them like this. I mean, there's also
cartoon for a what? Cartoon?
A cartoon show for the Mutant Sports League.
Brother.
So, like, I'm looking at here, chat. We're fucking done with this game at this point, by the way. Thank you all very much.
We're in the post show, as it were.
We are in the post show. It'll be a short one because we're raiding out here soon. But, here, I'm gonna show y'all this. I need to show Zach as well. Give me a second. There we go. Actually, no, I want something with a little bit more ambiance. Something that's not going to be as... There you go. Animal Crossing. Just a second here. This right here is the Mutant League football.
Yep.
published in 2017 by Digital Dreams Entertainment. I think it's important to play silly versions of sports games. I mean, like, listen, that's primarily what I like anyways, and stuff that's not wrestling, you know? I enjoy it when, you know, sports games are more kind of, you know, whimsical and are more willing to have fun with their concept. Because really, there's only so much you can iterate on a, you know, ball sport game. So, wrestling is something that's much easier to, you know, like, iterate on because, you know, wrestling by its nature is pretty silly. Whereas with something like sports, their kind of, like, cultural status makes it a little harder to be, you know, experimental with them without, you know, without alienating casuals too much. Oh yeah, I was talking about the 93 version. This was on which consoles?
The
This was
Sega
on
Genesis.
Yeah, it was released for the Sega Genesis, and only the Genesis, it looks like. The game was designed using the John Madden Football 93 engine, and features a different take on American football, where it resembles a war as much as a sporting competition. A year later, the same team applied similar concepts to the sport of ice hockey to create Mutant League Hockey, an animated TV show based around the games. Mutant League aired from July 1994 to February 1996, while a spiritual successor, Mutant Football League, was released in 2017. Is the 2017 one any good? Is it any good? Let me see. There is not a very large reception section here. It doesn't really give me much of anything, and neither does this one. So
yeah, I was just like, no idea.
I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I think that would be really fun. So yeah. But yeah, I'm thinking about, you know, probably just for sort of a change of pace. Maybe we'll do probably like a Mario sports game next. Either I'm kind of leaning towards like Mario Superstar Baseball, if I'm being honest with you. Continue the baseball kick.
hell yeah! I'm 100% down for that.
Oh yeah. If not that, then maybe some kind of basketball game. So yeah. But I want to try to keep, you know, whatever sports I play on this kind of whimsical. Because I don't want to, you know, unless I have, like, big plans for it, I don't want it to be, like, a simulation sort of thing. Clearly, I need to teach you Yu-Gi-Oh! And have you play one of the wrestling-themed decks. There are wrestling-themed Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks?
Oh, no, J. I see that /J.
Okay, two of them! Two of them. They're real, Zach. They're fucking real life. They are for
like
real life. They're for real life.
Man, like the One Piece.
They are like the One Piece. It's real, brother. Anyways, chat.
Hello, Mario.
I think, and in Cardfight Vanguard, there's a whole thing of wrestling robots. Cardfight Vanguard. Hold on.
Hello,
Cardfight.
Devin.
Hi, Devin. How are you? Welcome on in to the end of tonight's Long Blade Club meeting, because we're gonna raid out here in a couple minutes. Jeez. I need to stretch more, Zach. I need to stretch more.
You're back.
I need to stretch more, because my big aching neck cannot handle aching sides after nearly 4 hours of streaming.
Oh, my neck.
My liver and my lasagna both hurt, dude. It's crazy over here. It's insane. Sorry I'm coming in near the end, but I felt like saying hi before you got off. Well, thank you, Devin. I appreciate that. hopefully everyone had a good time tonight. You know, I wanted to win the World Series tonight, and to, you know, fill a little bit more time, we also did, you know, an all-star game. I hope that was very fun for all of you. There's a card in the game drawn by Shinsuke Nakamura, because it's made by the company that owns New Japan, and he was there at the time, lol. I didn't know Shinsuke was an artist. Hold on. Shinsuke Nakamura. Let's look at him, brother. Art. Hold on. Art. Where is it? But his card was clearly a meme.
Oh,
okay. Well, I still want to find this because I've never heard of him fucking doing art before. Art. Dude, all I'm getting is MMA. I'm not getting anything worth. I'm not getting anything of worth here. Alright, cool. Well, you know what? I'll take your word for it. Here. Actually, no. Shinsuke Nakamura.
His Instagram has drawings. Oh, God.
Artist.
D&D the card fight card. Thank you.
Also, I D&D the card fight card. Let's... Here. What is this? Zach, look at this. This right here looks like one of the moon demons I was talking about earlier. Here.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna see that in your nightmares tonight.
I absolutely will, and so will chat, because that's what we're ending stream on. Here, chat, you can have this. In fact, you will have this, because I don't want it.
No, take it.
Alright, everyone. Thank you all very much for tonight. This was a lot of fun. Let's... I also have a Kenny Omega card from a different game. Also, Tanahashi appears in the card fight anime. That's awesome. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he gets to do that. Here, let's go ahead and let's raid into... Honestly, I don't know. Let me see here. Maybe someone I'm following? Let's see. Card Fight Vanguard designs are even more wild than some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, in my opinion. I mean, listen, man. You are the resident expert of Yu-Gi-Oh in my mind, so I'm gonna take your word for that. You're like the residential expert of it, so whatever you say is like biblical law for me.
Hey, look at you! Look at that! You were able to carry yourself today.
I was. Wow. I'm proud of myself, Zach. Thank you. I'm very proud of myself. Let's go ahead.
Give yourself a pat in the back. Around the neck.
Stev, just know Yu-Gi-Oh has dino wrestlers. It's pure autism. Well then, you know, maybe I too need to get an unwashed ass and learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm kidding. I'm sure plenty of Yu-Gi-Oh players wash their butts. But I've heard stories of ones who don't. Anyways, we're gonna raid into my friend Ripley, the Oriole, who is playing Vampire the Masquerade right now. Here's the raid message, everyone. Hygiene is a rule officially now. Good. So that's where the dinosaurs in the clusterfuck came from? Dude, absolutely. Listen, if those same dinosaurs also like Yu-Gi-Oh, then it's canon. It's canon that they came from a goddamn Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, that right there is the raid message. I will be back on Saturday with more SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 Universe Mode. I should be joined by my friend Posty from the Postmodern Art from the Postmodern Art Podcast, a fellow big old wrestling mark just like me. He was here like a few months ago for the final Road to WrestleMania mode for the game. You guys will love him. He's super cool. He's super talented, and he's hosting an award show here soon. So that's cool. Until then, Zach, thank you so much for joining me for Backyard Baseball 2001.
No problem, man. I was really happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's enough for you.
Maybe do this again when the new one comes out. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I'll be down for that.
All right, cool. I will see y'all later. I'm gonna go and get a drink. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night.